What is up, y'all? It's your boy Yannick coming at you with the My Hero Academia chapter 345 live reaction and discussion church for MHA episode. How are y'all doing this fine morning? We're going to start the stream off with a couple birthday shout outs. Happy birthday to my older brother who just turned 34 a couple days ago, and to the young Dell turning 19 tomorrow. Much appreciation to the family, of course. Always loving y'all forever. So we got MK the baby already in the chat. Love to see it. Hey, Tyler Hawk, J. Michael, Lamar. Okay, my people's pulling up. This is what we live for. People pulling up. How have y'all been on this fine day in this week? How my people doing? You know, boy Fish and getting his ass whooped in Elden Ring. How many of y'all are out there getting whooped in Elden Ring? How about that? Most everybody and their mama get whooped in Elden Ring. Jeff Ciola, Cameron Bailey, Spectral Dynamite, White Despair, Black Hope. Yep. A Night and Tiger Blessed. Okay, so yeah, like we got the regulars coming in. We love to see this. This is all right. I've seen no spoilers for this week. I've had so I haven't been sabotaged. I've been doing pretty good on that front lately. So it's definitely getting to come into this blind, which is important because I hate when I get spoiled. But it's all good because that didn't happen. Let's see. Hey, Thomas. Let's see. The cat pigs in the first dungeon are so garbage. Eesh. Hey, Watkins. Avitrino. Good evening. All right. Oh yeah, because Dr. Stone is about to end. Have you guys read Dr. Stone at all? Because that it's about to end. You might as well do it. Yeah. While we wait for a couple more people to get here, maybe I'll read or tell to myself. Because I actually really liked chapter 2. Okay, chapter went crazy. Let's see. See, I'm writing this Gen 9 hype for Pokemon. All right. Let's see. All right. You know what? Let's go with this. Let's hop on this My Hero stuff. I can summon the bishops. We can start having fun. All right. My Hero Academia, chapter 345. I got my regulars here. That's what matters. I haven't seen something from like Siobhan, but Siobhan's been in the background for a while now. So I don't think I've seen anything from Tunisia. Oh, there's Tunisia. All right, here we go. Now I feel like the majority of the regulars who are going to show up at the beginning of the stream are here. So now I don't have to feel bad about starting. So let's start the chapter. Don't forget to like the stream. There's 22 of y'all up in here. Show the love. Chapter opens up. Okay, cool. So I was thinking about this. I mentioned this. There's a bunch of people. The cages were indiscriminate. This cage is moving. They really think this tin can is going to hold us. Huh. So I'm pretty sure that's also at the foreground, the same villain from the USJ who sliced open the ship that Izuku was on. So Toga's like, break it open quickly. And you just got Deku mean mugging it all. Chapter is titled Division. So Nomu bust out, your pathetic cages didn't even last 3 seconds. 3 seconds is all we needed. Let's see. All right. Lock them down for an instant and break them into smaller groups. Deku sees the slightest advantages. Yup, all of this to shove you into these warp gates all at once and split you up without fail. I am the mover and shaker. Monoma. Yeah, we gotta start. We ready? How absurd. You Mammonis that must have sunk a fortune into this plane just for this. Impressed? We've even got a strategy to counter that nasty decay quirk. You swaggered it like you owned the place, but now you'll be scattered to the winds. And this is one of the crust underlings, you can tell, because he's got the little stuff popping up, the little hexagonal plates popping off of his skin and stuff too. So, all right. Come on, cram him in there. What? But somebody grabs Deku, huh? Fat, take your man down there and mop up the stragglers and look out for young Oyama. Roger, this is the place where you fall. One heck of a bluff there, Squirt. Merci. The mastermind retreats. Get back to Aizawa, Monoma. They're divided now. We shift to phase 2. All right, let's see what the spread has in store. Kamui Woods, Endeavor, All for One, Shishida, Tokoyami, Hawks. Let's see the Pixie Bob. I'm trying to see. Okay, and then that might be Edge Shot. I'm not sure. After a while, they get a little too tiny. But all right, we got most of the people I can see. Oh, there's the dog-looking Nomu. All right, let me welcome, fellas. And then something immediately hits All for One in the support gear. So I'm guessing that's Nagant. The Gungavilla site. I see. Oh, okay. He managed to claw. Okay, so Hawks has some level of wings, but not nearly enough for it to be worth bragging about. The Gungavilla site, I see. Sorry to say, Endeavor. I knew he wouldn't show up with armor I could actually crack. Relax, I didn't have my hopes up anyway. We learned in Camino that your ooze warp is an inferior version of what Kurigiri can do, All for One. It has a much shorter range and you can't warp yourself either. The UA barrier got some upgrades with that in mind. At the end of the day, your hubris is going to be your downfall. Splitting us up to divide and conquer. A fine plan, I suppose. That is, if you were actually hoping for a shot at victory. The sharp decline in the hero population meant dividing our forces was a necessity. Fair enough, but you're a cruel man, Endeavor. Pitting One for All against Tomura is a deadly knife's edge to dance upon. But the most brutal part of this little scheme has to be you forcing your youngest to clean up your mess, no matter how much it pains him, and the unceasing abuse toward your eldest child. And you have Dabi pulling up to fight Shoto, looking like a JoJo's character. So the Yaspich Slay meme is paying dividends once again. Oh man, is that burning in the background? Ida. Yep, there's Keto, okay. So the thing that makes the Shoto versus Dabi fight fascinating is that it's effectively you have Endeavor's entire hero agency. It's looking like more or less working with Shoto. So it's kind of like as Shoto and Dabi are fighting, they're also fighting over the business that's supposed to be inherited. One of the things that I've talked about with people on Twitter about Dabi is that even if Endeavor had been more involved in his life due to his quirk and the fact that he still wouldn't have been a viable candidate to be a hero while living under the roof of the number 1 hero and having all these people around him, it probably likely still would have caused massive harm to his self-esteem because he still would have felt like he needed to be a hero. And traditionally, the oldest son is the one who inherits the business. So Shoto going against Dabi here with effectively their inheritance surrounding them as they fight is just some nice little setup by Horikoshi. So just keep that in mind. Oh, so we on Onigashima now, huh? Let's see. UA, what's going on? Okay, so there's Shigaraki gets tossed into there. Genist, Bakugo, they got us good. Deku ain't here. And then he lands by Shigaraki with Toga. The force danger sense didn't trigger. Whoa. So somehow, Toga managed to throw her thing through the portal and still got Deku. So the fight, oh boy. Well, it was looking like they were getting away with a little too much anyway. So you already know this had to go down like this. They were getting away with a little way too much. So we really need them to be able to. Oh, let's see. It's acted like she ain't the first kid he groomed with the doctor. Good evening, East. Okay, yep. Theatrical villains. I can't stop laughing at Awful One's dialogue because it's something trying to get in control is so pathetic. A fine plan, I suppose. That is, if you were actually hoping for it. Doc, he's very corny on purpose. This man is like, I will be the demon lord. Like, bro, when he told y'all he was going, well, he said he was going to be a demon lord, that right there should have put it in a pack. Ain't no hope. Ain't none of that hope shit. This man was always cheesy. And for me, that's okay. Let's see. So we summon out the signals. All right. Let's see. Oh, actually, let me go ahead and do this too while I'm at it. All right. Let's see, Deku. Yeah, so this also means that we finally get that. Well, Lamar Arrington, this goes back to what we got confirmed even back in Class 1A versus Midoriya. When you don't have that ill will towards Deku, he doesn't detect you. So with this thing with Toga, she doesn't want to hurt Deku. She wants to talk to him. She wants to see what his answer would be in comparison to what Uraraka gave her as an answer back during the war arc. In addition to that, though, we now have the option for Uraraka to update our answer while being accompanied with Deku, and Deku being able to say, no, we had this conversation about you just a couple days ago. Which, that in of itself, because Toga's always been one of those ones that it's weird to think of, like, could she be saved? How could she be saved even if we wanted to save her? And now with her effectively being in front of the two people she loves most, who knows what's about to happen? But it does seem like she might be the one with the most Nomu around, because I'm seeing at least two high ends. Now if you remember, I said that they wanted to make sure they didn't make any mistakes that they did during the USJ, where they had effectively brought them in and then had it be that it was like, no, so-and-so's in the wrong zone because I'm Sue, and if they wanted to stop me, they wouldn't have put me in the shipwreck zone. And now we see, I think, that same villain, one, in the water zone, but two, more importantly, the idea that if that is the case, then that means that they did not calculate which villains they'd be grabbing. And instead, they just really were rolling with whoever was in whatever spot when they got those pods and like pushed everybody into the tunnels, or warp gates. So that kind of explains that situation right there. It was random. So there's going to be some people who are going to be a bit happier with where they landed than others.
Yeah, I don't think Tokoyami's pretty happy about being there with All For One. What's up?
Hey, walk-ins. See, okay. My thing is that neither one of these three battlegrounds are something you're going to be happy to have to deal with, but
no, not at all. I mean, I definitely don't want to be at the All For One. Don't also want to be at that Shigaraki one, in case that you called it Onigashima. So yeah, just it's Ue Gashima for right now. I wouldn't want to be there either, in case that just fell apart. However high up they are from the ground there. Honestly, this out of all these, the safest one might be the Toga group, but even then, that has like a bunch of, because those are some high ends right there with her, aren't they?
Yeah, she's got at least two high ends that we can fully see, and that might be another one or two in the background.
Well, I mean, even Dobby's got a couple of them back there, or at least one.
Yeah, because he's got like the giant, like
Yeah.
hellhound looking one, kind of. Well, a different hellhound looking one, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Toga's might be the safest one. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be on any of these. Like,
so why do you think Shoto got the Camino site, or why do you think they chose the Camino site for Dabi?
it might have something to tie in with All Might. Because the first thing that comes to mind with me is how Shoto, his vision of a hero was still All Might.
Yeah.
So it could kind of tie into that. He can be like, yeah, our dad was shitty, but we could have turned to others for, that kind of role model kind of thing. It could turn into something like that. I haven't really thought too much into it. Or it could tie back into their dad, how he's trying to be the next All Might, quote unquote. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, I haven't really thought too much about like why he's at Camino and yeah, with that battlefield.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. And then, because I'm looking through now, Endeavor being separate from All for One. On one hand, I think it being left to Shoto is like perfect because it gives Shoto the chance to prove to Dabi why he was better, quote.
Yeah.
But also I think it adds like a karmic value that like if Dabi were to die without like Endeavor even able to see it. Because he's wearing a death kimono and I feel like he's gonna burn himself out ultimately. Yeah. So the way I look at it is kind of if he were to die, he would be dying apart from his dad, not able to get that attention he sought and did all of this to get the attention. So it's like, are we going with the karmic death? But at the same time, if Shoto's the one who's forced to watch him die instead of it being Endeavor, that seems a little needlessly cruel to Shoto on the writing angle, it's like
I could see like, cause I just say if just because, but if Dabi does die here, I could see it being a thing as Shoto, like you said with the burnout thing, it could be part of that, and like Shoto's trying to cool his body a little bit with his cold side, and like it just kind of ends like that, and that kind of, I part of me wants to say poetic way, but whatever other words you want to use for that. Just I could see it kind of happening in that way where it's just like, okay, he is still trying to save me, but nah, like that could be the turning point, his final moments of, okay, cool, this is happening, but nah, I'm done, man. There's nothing left for me here. Just stop, Shoto.
Yeah, like Dabi finally being like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay,
you were the chosen child.
If we get Dabi slowly dying as he's fading out, I want him to reveal that Bakugo was right when he said he likes a piping hot udon. Specifically because then, okay, because Shoto, if you remember, like Natsu was like, I didn't know that Shoto liked soba. But it would kind of carry on that theme going forward that they've always been talking about their favorite basic home dish.
Yeah.
Since Shoto's favorite thing is like the cold soba, him finally eating a hot dish would kind of be like an honor / in memoriam of his older brother. And so also kind of show that like he's honoring the relationship and brother that he lost over his grudge against Endeavor growing up. And that would actually probably right there.
That would be like one of those ending scenes, like maybe near the end of the series where you just see Shoto just eating that hot meal, and it's like, okay, that's a nice little touch, Horikoshi, because he learned that from this fight, and it's just like, okay, yes, give him that honor kind of thing. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And then the fact that I'm glad that they didn't try to fit every single person into the portals and they left some of the people there at the main site.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I talked about in my personal chapter review was that Monoma would be able to hop back and forth between the initial point, like where their base in Central Hospital, where Kurogiri was, and where they are now. And the reason why I liked that detail and wanted to keep that factored in is because when they specifically say get back to Aizawa, now we open the door for him to have a copy of Erasure and at any moment being able to teleport back in and suddenly erase something on somebody.
Yeah.
So like imagine he just randomly pops back in and just sticks his head through or gets through the work gate and immediately, boom, all right, stares at All for One mid-combat out of nowhere. Now All for One starts hurdling and they just whoosh, hop on that. So Monoma has a chance not only to have set this up, but to consistently pull up and kind of be an ace and like really drive home and create advantages for people.
Yeah, because he could just hop into each battlefield and just create little moments here and there for everybody. Now here's my question, and just I guess I kind of need clarification of this. Where's All Might?
ECB in the back, in the cut.
Like, is he at that headquarters they had, or is he at UA?
So, because we never actually got a clarification where that was. Like, if that was just because it could also just be the police station for it, right? We don't know for sure.
No. I'm not good now. Something's missing, but everybody keep their eyes on all the big flashy stuff because what I like to call a dark horse is on the way.
Talking about Spinner?
Oh man, they not gonna see it coming. You see, this is what I was talking about in the VC. I was like, oh, first of all, you know what time it is. How we doing, people? It is Undefeated of the East, baby. What it do? Woo! You know how to get the intro, as for always. Now back to the program. Now, funny enough, it's just that, you know, we getting all this flashy stuff, you know, we pay attention here and there. But when things are kept off screen purposely, and after they've been set up by Kohei himself, whatever Spinner's pulling the trigger on Spinner's character arc turned from, you know, just a pistol to an AK to a damn bazooka. And the longer this waits, it turned to a damn nuke, because the fact that everybody here, you know, they got their lineup. And remember, All Might they didn't say anything about Spinner when it was naming all the threats and dangers they had to deal with. Nobody paid attention to Spinner. So now coming back on it again, it's like, okay, you're not counting. You don't know what they had in lying in wait, what that meeting was about, and all the people they got to do what they got them to do. We don't know. The heroes damn sure don't know. And their plan is already falling apart at the seams from the very start. The biggest threat on this field is Shigaraki. Right now. Clone, no clone, that shit don't matter. Regardless, the threat is Shigaraki. The ace was supposed to be Deku going to take on Shigaraki, but whether the plan they had. Their biggest ace in the hole for the heroes has just been thwarted and moved somewhere else to another location.
So, okay, so here's my thing. When you mentioned like Shigaraki being the main threat, you can tell that Deku was supposed to be the ace of the UA battle.
Exactly. You can tell. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You can literally tell.
And you know what's funny? Horikoshi gave a lot of us exactly what a lot of people predicted. And then he was like, but also not really.
He was like, let me spin on his head real quick.
Because you remember people would be like, oh, with this, I think the final battle's happening at UA. And it's going to be Shigaraki versus Deku at UA. And then it was like, well, that was supposed to be the plan. Y'all almost got it right.
You were half right.
Like,
oh, we're going to get Deku and Bakugo versus Shigaraki. And, well, you were half right.
Right. Like, And to add to that, though, it's like we were half right. And I was waiting for the UA Shiketsu combination. I thought we were getting a Megazord.
Yeah, speaking of which, you see, there's so many things at play here that had just been set up on the hero side alone that still have to come into play. But at that same counter, this chapter is the perfect example of what this entire arc is going to be with that cliffhanger. Just because you got a plan, it don't mean shit. Their plan was supposed to work, but guess what? That thorn, quote unquote, side, that thorn in their side that All Might was talking about, Himiko Toga, broke the whole shit apart with one move.
Yep. And we don't even know how she managed to figure out which portal was a good one to, like, how she did that. Because they're pushing everything back, they're pulling up, and then the portal next to him opens up and randomly Gatling. So it's like, how did that even happen? We have no clue. Or did she just shoot it through the portal that she noticed was there and was like, maybe I'll grab Deku, maybe I won't? We could also assume that even though it's a mist that makes the portals, that you can technically kind of see through it, and she was able to see that Deku was on the other side of the portal she was looking at, but still. Okay, let's see.
Well,
let's see what the chat is saying.
I want to address what was I talking about?
Oh yeah, what's up?
J. Michael, I'm real excited to see Genus and Dynamite team up. And yeah, Toga doesn't have any malicious intent. She's literally just asking for the question, which is funny because in hindsight, once again, a big thing of the Deku Black arc, not Villain Hunt, the Deku Black arc was people was like, well, Deku was running through his rogues gallery. Shout out to Aniki. Was running through his rogues gallery. It was a missed opportunity. He never got to meet Toga. He should have talked to Toga. Well, here you go, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold.
Let's see. This is BJ moving those platforms with wires. So with that, okay. In regards to the platforms and stuff, it seems like these are partially being manipulated via the carbon fiber threads, which makes sense because you want to give people the ability to fight, in the air. So they might need to hop on different platforms, stuff like that, if you can't maintain flight. So it's a good way to create an artificial sky while also making it so that if, based on all data they have, Shigaraki does not have a flight quirk. So he can't just be like, well, I'm going to decay this out of the sky, because if he does that, now he's risking just straight up falling to his death too. So it basically forces him to stay at UA unless he can find a way to break the barrier, which I'm pretty sure the implication here is that the barrier that we're looking at now is basically a force field. So you can't decay a force field in theory, but it's worth noting that burden is a giant stress. Well, Danger Sense isn't a fraudulent quirk. Danger Sense focuses on whether or not somebody is trying to harm you. And that's what makes it kind of funny, because if you go back and you look, Danger Sense often gets incorporated into paneling. And the one time it almost went off during 1A versus Deku was when Shoto pulled up the ice wall, and then you see there's a slight variation in the paneling where it's like slight, and then he immediately smacks into the heaven-piercing ice wall. If you think back to the war, we never, ever, ever see Shiggy doing maintained flying. And if you think back to when Shiggy fought Cassie, he was hopping from plane to plane. He wasn't just flying, and he rode Ononu out to battle.
Exactly. So I don't think he has those quirks, which is really weird to me at the same time. Like that's one thing that's been kind of bugging me this whole time. Like, hi, that nigga don't got airwalk? Really? That shit.
That just means either it takes a lot of effort to use, or AFO was pretty selfish. Because that means he basically had 2 flight quirks on hand and gave one of them to Nagant. Man, and didn't give the other one to Shigaraki. Or Shigaraki isn't good at using that quirk.
I wouldn't even go that far because it's not that hard, because Nagant used it like at a snap of a finger. It's not that hard to use Airwalk.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, like those are some of the only ones that I can come up with. And like you said, they don't really make too much sense. It's just something you can kind of throw out speculatively. But the most logical answer is him not having it. Hey, what up, Fish?
I was just about to wonder who was here.
Going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
Man, I was not expecting this in this chapter. I honestly, that little twist at the end, Deku getting, I was just like, oh, okay. Because I really just expected everyone getting their matchups or whatever. But then this kind of like threw a wrench in it all. I was like, wow, okay. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. But I don't think like that's the real, I don't think she has any malicious intent towards him because the danger sense didn't go off, which I'm sure you guys already said, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Genuinely expecting her to try to talk to him like she tried to talk to Toga.
Yeah.
I mean, we're rocking.
And for those of y'all on that goofy talking on jutsu, we already seen that doesn't work in this series. And that she's beyond the point of no return at this point. They already said that Lily Ochako acknowledged that, and Toga acknowledged that herself. You can come to an understanding, but you don't have to change sides. Like, y'all just really like to use this throw out that phrase, which is very irritating. When there's been no precedent for it in the story with any real villains. I don't see Overhaul changing his entire ways after he got beat. So you bad boy. Genta was never even a villain himself. He was just a vigilante. He did half as much good as he did any evil. And the evil he did wasn't even fucking real evil. So like, that's why I don't know, like, people like throwing out that phrase. They just like throwing shit.
Let's see.
So speaking of that, J. Michael Holmes. Let me address this too. Shiggy may not have the fly quirk because remember, Stars was still destroying all the quirks, and we don't know what got kept and what didn't. So the flight quirk may be gone. So we don't know. We gotta wait to see what he do. But speaking of J. Michael Holmes, listen, man, that last page, man, I wasn't just tweeting because Toga did what she did, and pulled him over there and threw a monkey wrench. Listen, we got to address this. Shout out to Coyote, the number one Nomu stand. Y'all gonna put respect in these high end Nomu's name. I don't know why people downplaying them or not giving them the credit they need to be given, or the fear that should be running through your heart for some of these people that are not children. It should be a real threat because that nigga's just sitting in the ground waiting for them to pull up. These Nomu, we just gonna have to wait and see because apparently y'all forgot what happened in the war and how those high ends got taken out in the lab. Like you remember Razorhead pulled up on these niggas and they got jumped by like 20 heroes apiece.
And those are all Nomu surrounding Toga on the last.
Yeah, there's just two surrounding her.
Oh, okay, I was about to say because there's like little figures right behind her too, but I'm guessing
that's
other villains.
That's Hanzo, that homeboy from USJ, the ones that attacked Deku, Mineta, and Froppy on the ship.
This don't look good, bro. Like you're right. This is scary.
He in the water zone at that. Like.
Also, we know that they said the goal was a minimum of 10 kilometers, but once you had them memorized, because Gunga Villa was all the way towards the southern edge of Japan, because they were in the Wakayama prefecture, because these were based off of actual prefectures within Japan. So we know that they were pretty far like south.
Yeah,
so
they ran from Jakku. Maki ran from Jakku to from Gunga to Jakku and blitzed through 20 cities.
And they were about 80 kilometers apart. So if that's where that one was, and we know UA isn't necessarily right over there, and since UA is mobile, they could teleport to it and then have that start flying further away. The issue is going to be that when Monoma pops back in, he's going to have to figure out and hop between the sites now to go relocate Deku, which basically means we have to hop between the sites, maintain the fights, and then Monoma's going to have to like pop up, which the upside to this is that we get the option of Monoma teaming up with multiple different characters from 1A and finally working together and really having to set aside that conflicts, which is I'll take it. I like Monoma, so
shit. I mean, it's rightfully so because he ain't even gonna be bugging like he used to because he's like, yeah, I'm the MC now. I'll get my time to spotlight. This whole plan came because of me. Basically, like he got that shit talk right now.
Look at me. I am the MC now. He's the Phantom Thief. He stole the story. Well, Danger Sense not going off could be them being clones. It could be because, like I said, even if they're not clones, because we've done the if they're clones discussion. Even if they're not clones, this will put them in a really weird spot. People back then said Hawks had no consequence. Wings will grow back. Ain't got enough feathers now. Now he needs swords. Who is really rushing the series because it doesn't seem like Hori.
Hey man, I remember specific people. I remember a couple of names in here, that really was like, oh, he gonna get them back. He's gonna get his wings back. He already drew a promotional art with Hawks having his wings. I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? He drew promotional art with wings. Okay. What the heck? Like, what was that supposed to mean?
Also, I kind of like that. As much as I make fun of Crust, I don't know if he was here for the slander and Crust everyday phase, Fish. But
you don't like Crust?
Nah. Dog, look, this man's quirk is making really, really tough skin. He makes calluses, bro.
Here we go.
His quirk is to make shields out of calluses, bro.
Here we go. Here you go, bro.
That's kind of gross.
I'm glad my food got here right now. Talking bad about my man Crust.
Yes. Like he was self-aware. That's why he named himself Crust. He was like, yeah, this shit nasty.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Rest in peace, Bozo.
The true number one.
Yeah, J. Michael, the Crust slander during the war, that shit was awful. That shit was awful. They were wrong for that shit.
Let's see.
What's on Nafisa? The GOAT?
Oh, that's because, okay, so I like that comment, White Despair Blacko, because he's like, I can't take AFO's new helmet seriously. It looks all right when he had his coat, but now that he just has a white shirt, there's too much contrast between it and the dark helmet, and that helmet is far too white. I think is doubling his shoulder pads.
Oof, yeah.
So my thing is that All For One is 100% a dude that got rich but never developed class. Because even if you have this fancy ass vest on, in addition to the fact that you threw off your jacket and you got this super demon lord, cringe lord helmet, tragic. And yeah, the fact that Hawks is using actual katanas instead of any, like that's not a feather sword even. So yeah, he's just kind of.
Yeah, I told y'all. I'm like, I don't know why y'all think nobody in this series gets a grave injury and just bounce back like it never happened.
Hey, a year since the quirk of a cultural appropriation was removed from the game. Did you really need All For One getting his hands on that? No.
Y'all funny, boy. Let's go read some stuff they were talking about in the chat. Yeah, talk about what happens when that sword break. He can fly around the battlefield giving feedback.
Yeah, I was scared when I saw Hawks trying to take on All For One. I'm like, what do you think you about to do to this man?
So what I will say is I'll give Hawks his respect for actually being on the battlefield in this, because we know he doesn't even have access to his high speed level.
That and immediately going for the kill shot.
Yeah, that was insane to me. I was like, wow, I didn't expect that.
Now, like I said, I will never, ever fuck with that nigga. But I will always give credit where credit is due to that bitch ass nigga or anybody. Credit where credit is due. That motherfucker got the right mindset. Because all that whole morality, heroes don't kill this, that, and other. This is war. This ain't no more, I'm stopping you from robbing somebody and I'm putting you in jail. No. This is war now at this point. This is either you go all in or you might as well just sit your ass home in the casket because they're not playing nice.
You don't respect Hawks killing twice. You understand he had to do it.
I've been said that. What I told people was he did it he did a slimy, greasy ass bitch nigga move. He played that nigga. Like I said, it's about the way you go about this shit. A nigga slimy, greasy slime ball for that. But like I said, credit where credit is due. He definitely got that fucking message out there and saved the heroes' asses from complete annihilation. Because boy, they would have never known nothing had not been for that bitch ass bird.
And the fact that he was like, you know what'll stop All For One from living? Not having a head.
Exactly. Motherfucker knew. Even that, listen, my motherfucker, I had told you. So then I died, fuck that nigga. But credit where credit is due. That motherfucker understood the assignment. Take that nigga the fuck out.
especially the welcome, fellas, instant attempt at decapitation.
I love
like because like when you look at the panel layout, it's extra funny because it's like you pop over, it's like they're divided now. The first thing you see is like Endeavor coming out, and it's like to phase 2, and you already see Hawks coming out the cut to chop his head off. Like, it's immediate on site. That's the efficiency we like to see out of our assassin heroes. Because, and oh yeah, because All Might's still definitely at the command center. So that I think is at the police station at this point. I think it's that somewhere where he shouldn't have to worry about somebody coming to attack him. That has to be. Let's see. Well, Nigeria got to blast one of the cages, so we'll see if anything else comes of that.
Man, listen, Daniel. He said, I don't know why I find it I don't know why, but I find it funny when the PLF advisor was basically cursing at the heroes for how they use this much money for cages that whole 3 seconds. That shit funny. That shit really at least feel like 5 billion yen for that shit to last 3 seconds. That's crazy. You see how bad they are. That niggas had no choice. They said, we gotta do it before we gotta do it.
Also, I like the dramatic shadow shot that we got for, I think it's Shoto. Because when he's like, you're pathetic cages. Yeah, because like while he's getting the shadow shot, we just get the emphasis on his shirt that's like made like his dad's, but then it also just looks like a classic dramatic hero pose because you got Burnin in the background plus Ida moving forward. So yeah, I don't know. This, like, we knew that we were gonna have to do more setup this week, but this created us having a straight up monkey. Okay. Mirio not being visible isn't sitting right with me, but I'm gonna tell myself he's making sure area is safe.
Listen, when he get his justice earth, I'm gonna come for it. Me and Jerome are coming for everybody. Me, Jerome, and Anki come for everybody. Cause that the amount of asking where this nigga been at is literally legit insane to me. And like, all right, bro, man, y'all should have been asking where this nigga at until like last week and this week. That's the only time y'all should have been asking. Any other time y'all was asking where this nigga's at, it was really weird to me because it's like, bro, he just here to fight at this point. That's his character. He had his character arc, everything in the overhaul. He just here to throw hands at this point. Ain't nothing else there it is to it. I don't know why I want him in here like talking and chatting, like what's he supposed to offer? Y'all ain't asked for Sun Eater like that. Y'all wasn't asked for Sun Eater. And Ned's ready to have conversations like that. Like, what's up with Mirio? Like, I understand he the GOAT, but like when he come back, he gonna come back fighting. That's what y'all want to see.
Right. So you have no doubt in your mind that Mirio's gonna be in this war, though, huh? At some point.
At some point, don't know what point. I don't know where he gonna be at. My best bet is that if I was them, I'm throwing that nigga at UA. So if we find Shigaraki, I want the heaviest haters or niggas that can like, somewhat, you know what I'm saying? I'll have him there. Because they got a plan already for Shigaraki. So I would have him there if I was them. But Mirio coming back in the war. That's why he got his powers back last time,
So he can box.
Make sense.
Yeah, come on.
So he might be there to stall time because I remember somebody, I think it was Ian, he was talking about how he would love for Mirio to fight Shigaraki, not in the sense that he wants Mirio to actually beat him, but because of him being such a hard counter to decay because he can't be touched, that he would just like stall and buy a bunch of time and just be that fly that Shigaraki could never swat, which would still give him his credibility as like a top tier hero because Shigaraki couldn't finish him, but also allow for Deku and them to still be the ones who finish the fight.
And since Deku isn't there at UA, hey, look, a perfect time to stall.
Mm-hmm. Stalling.
Funny how all that works.
Yeah, you get my fault. You got Watkins.
I was just saying, funny how all that works.
Oh God, a roundabout way. And that's and one other thing too. I gotta address this because of my goals. Shout out to Nafisa and Endot. Nathan. They said I am not involved in that. Everybody, let me make that clear. Yes, and the Fisa and Enda are not involved in that. Everybody.
Well, okay. So let's real quick, because I think I saw you posted East the he will be back part for Compress.
Yes, I did post that.
What currently, and everybody can kind of weigh in on this one, do you see needing to happen or happening to allow Compress to be implemented back into the story?
What would need to happen is that since we haven't seen what the villains have planned and Spinner's nowhere to be found, the only possible route for that to even add back up would be Spinner or whoever, like, because you know, some of us, me specifically, I'm not even gonna bullshit. Like I said, I shoot straight. Me more than anybody believes that some of these now, I believe that Toga is the real Toga. I believe that Dobby is a clone because it's not sitting right with me that he don't get the peep endeavor. Like even if Horikoshi was going to end this right now, right here, right, and then Dobby doesn't even get to like see, like, you know, Dobby didn't get to see Endeavor and to go out unless he's like Shoto understand the backstory is not the same level and tier of, like, you know, weight of Endeavor learning what happened to his son over this time, because, you know, that was Hawks and I'm talking about. We need to find out what happened. But getting to the point is that, okay, now this one's like, okay, the pieces that are not there, the only one, the major one is Spinner. He would have to be a person to go get Compressed himself so that they could see this whole victory through and live the life and et cetera, et cetera. Because there's no other way Compressed comes back out outside of this. Like, he could escape himself, but more than likely Spinner and them would free him and he would come back on his own.
Because the way I look at it is Spinner, we need him back. Compress, Hori said he'd be back, but also was confirmed, like, we got the confirmation he's going to be back. But in addition, it doesn't make sense for him to stay completely locked up because we have to revisit what the league is doing, because he was dismissed so unceremoniously that in the same way that Monoma kind of put on his theatrics and stole the show, I feel like we need that moment for Compress, even for just a little bit. And this is kind of the only juncture where that's going to really make sense currently, is if he can pull up and do it now. Let's see.
Daniel, Tyrannosaurus still be talking? I'm not surprised. Motherfucker say he gonna leave that shit alone. Yet apparently the motherfucker still talking. That's crazy.
Yep, and Nafisa's saying how no Endeavor versus Shoto makes it hard to believe this is, or Endeavor versus Dobby makes it hard to believe. And it is true that, like, Endeavor not being near Shoto, or by actually him not being near Shoto or Dobby, is weird. Because we're not getting the Todoroki estate thing. I would have really loved if they would have teleported them to the old Todoroki estate.
Mm-hmm. I don't, but at the same time, you know, it's like monkey wrenches and loopholes, all types of shit can really happen. Like the scale of what can happen within the series is like, this is the arc. This is the make or break arc. This is like,
the margin of error on this is insane now, because just by having Deku in the wrong spot, you could argue that one section is overstocked on heroes, which could lead to that one, you know, doing better. But on the flip side, Bakugo can't carry Genist.
Exactly. So it's like this, and like this. And it's like, it's funny because it's definitely like this. All right, so what if Toga's battlefield is overstocked? Shigaraki is the biggest threat out of anybody here. You think we care about overstocking on Toga side and winning one battle over there? Maybe winning one battle over there. Meanwhile, Shigaraki has just the decayed UA threw that shit down and killed a bunch of our forces, and then proceeds to fly across or jump across Japan and speed blitz to the other location and do the same thing again. Because we don't know the trajectory of where they stand. But let's say Shigaraki and them are like all at top, right? All in North Japan. And then Deku was down south. And then in the middle, you got the Gunga site, right? It's like if Shigaraki wanted the speed blitz over there, and by that point, and like, and let's say Monoma's preoccupied or couldn't do what he needed to do, it's like, well, he's got two places by the time Deku by the time you get over there, you wasn't gonna fucking last anyway. Now you definitely drained. So it's like, oh yay, we got help over here with Toga. Okay. Shigaraki, you were the fuck supposed to be fighting Shigaraki, bro. Like nobody else keep it up with that nigga. You could do it for a split second, but yeah.
So let's see. Yes, Japan does love to watch Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer. Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad more people are talking about the 9 arcs thing, but
Zatch Bell is getting a sequel, not a remake.
Yeah.
yes, it is. There's a difference between a sequel and a remake. Got to honor that. Let's see. Hold on. Did you say it looks like the genus? You said. Let's see, because somebody said crust look-alike. Let's see. Yeah, it has to be. I'm expecting the crust look-alike to be going to Shigaraki since he brought up the fact that they had the plan. Yeah, that's fair.
That means Greninja's with Shigaraki?
I'm thinking so.
Oh shit.
Which was kind of fast. Which also this begs the question: do you think they just sent all the civilians that were at UA to Shiketsu and then?
Yeah, probably that would be the best bet. You mobilize them underneath right then and there.
Because there's no way they'd be like, all right, guys, so just stay in the building. We got this.
You're right.
Front row seats. Like what?
I mean, this shit about to be actually like legit insanity. From an art perspective to a battleground perspective, what the fuck?
What I will say,
you go.
Small detail, if you think about it, the last game of Kachikachan that was played, do you remember who won?
Definitely last time I called, it was still Kachan. He beat Deku last time I checked.
And that was so he won a game of Kachikachan after Deku went out into the streets for a month. So he actually might be able to make it an interesting fight, at least for a little while, versus Shigaraki. So, especially since he will have some backup with Denim Head, but like
I don't know. They have a plan. Like the hero forces that are at where they at, as well as specifically for Shigaraki at least. They plan on splitting certain people in certain locations. Oh, by the way, now I don't know if there's a narrative meaning behind them being at Kamino, but I do note that specifically, I know Dabi and Shoto were definitely sent to Kamino for basically to let their powers run loose at its full extent. Because you can't do that at Gunga. You can't do that because they're gonna burn the forest down, everybody around them. You can't let completely loose. You can't do that at UA because apparently they have plans inside of there. Why would you unleash a fucking fire tornado inside of a bubble when we have allies around us? That doesn't make any sense. And plus, they had fucking anti-decay and other operations against Shigaraki. Then you got the waterfront. They sent them there. Well, they sent them there for, I guess, whatever reason may be. They just split them up. And, it's not like that's going to add to much having them there. And then they got the main battlefield they at right now. Well, the previous, right outside of front of Troy. And then you got Fatgum there rounding up that house over there. So if we splitting them all up, that'd definitely be like, them to have their solo fight or what have you. That's a proper location so they can really flex.
Yep. See, I like this. J. Michael Holmes knows what he's talking about. Horikoshi should be having built up Bakugo for that final act.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Protector Crust is here. Since Friday, this is the Protector Doctor Strange variant. That probably was Crust's student because Crust looked like he was a little older. He had like the gray stripes in his hair. So actually, let's see if we got an age for Crust.
I don't know. Oh, we got a super chat from our blast.
R Blast coming through. Thank you. Appreciate you. I love the way Toga said, nope, it's time to talk. Because this is also one of the things that goes to the heroes don't understand fully what these characters are after, but also the villains, like, they don't understand what Toga's really after. They just kind of see her as this crazy girl that stabs people. So they would have never predicted, oh yeah, as she's getting pulled into a teleportation hole, she's literally going to prioritize trying to grab Deku. They're not going to, like, that's not how the heroes are going to see it. They're not going to think, oh, she would try to grab Deku so she could talk to him. Because even if she meant, they like heard that about that conversation Ochako had with her, what do you think are the odds of the heroes being like, wait, if Toga was just seeking a conversation with one of the heroes, maybe we could find a way to create conversation in space to talk to her so that we could maybe not have to beat the brakes off this teenage girl. That's not where their logic is going to go. And to a certain degree, I could see Deku trying his hardest to finish everything here at the Toga spot at what looks like, you know, the Avengers / possibly Gang Orca's base, defeating all of them, and then it coming down to Deku and Ochako and Toga, with Sue being there too, and then them having like that whole discussion. And Gang Orca is at the Toga spot, so this gives him a chance to step up and show why he should have stayed in the top 10 heroes when we got the updated chart. Besides the fact that, you know, unlike Crust, he survived the PLW.
A lot of these motherfuckers are gonna die.
How you doing, Bo?
Hey. You loved the link, so I thought I might as well come on. So this chapter, like what you were talking about with Toga, I think the difference is the heroes think strictly in like real world pragmatic terms. Like they live firmly in the real world with all these like different functions and processes and whatnot. The villains don't really operate by that logic. The villains are, I think, sort of more in the shonen category of like the super ragtag bunch of misfits. So like they just don't think that way, right? So now, because nobody really knows Toga's deal, Ochako even says a few chapters ago, he's like, I don't know Toga, but I sense that, you know, she was hurting. So now, man, so many ways this can go, because Toga does not think like even her other league members. She equates being intimate with people with stabbing them, with being with being a little crazy person murderer. But, you know, I think also she's maybe starting to realize maybe that's not the right way to go things. I don't know. She's just such a wild card right now. Everything is so up in the air, because like what this whole plan is constructed for Deku to deal with Shigaraki immediately. Like just get him out of the way. Like I was wondering, would he go after All For One Shigaraki first? No, he goes straight for Shigaraki, get the most dangerous piece off the board immediately. You get him out of there, then you have a better shot of winning. That's not the case now. And from the way they were talking, they can't just do Warp Gate again that easily, because otherwise they just warp him back to UA, no problem. Monoma even goes back to Aizawa. There's probably something a little tricky there, because Warp Gate is not your traditional quirk. Remember, Warp Gate is this weird amalgamation of Shirakumo's quirk and Garaki's meddling with it. Like, it's not supposed to be transporting people. It's a literal manufactured quirk. So there's probably something finicky there, and they probably can't do it so easily a second time. So Deku, I don't know what's going to happen. Deku might have to do the All Might thing where he just leaps across the entire nation and plows through each of the different villain sites on the way to Shigaraki. So,
which you said plows through, and I'm like, do we think Makia gets to come back into play at all?
I think so. I think him and Compress are guaranteed. Also, there are a couple other players. I think Gento and Labrava, I'd really appreciate them helping out somehow, even if you just saw them like helping out behind the scenes or something. Or There's also Lady Nagant, which they teased her, maybe coming back. She didn't die. So if she's fixed up enough, I can see her coming back to fight for Deku.
So one of the things that we're talking about as definitely like just kind of going under the radar here, and we talked about it a couple times on stream, I think, and I've talked about it in reviews, but I feel like it's just not being discussed heavily on Twitter for some reason. Spinner.
Oh yeah. He's just, that is so ominous. Like, what is he doing?
Because like when you think about what like All For One was building up, he was building up Spinner out of all the members of the league. Like, he called Toya a friendless loser and really didn't care. It was apathetic towards the existence of Toga. Like, okay, cool, yeah, assassin girl, whatever, bye. But Spinner, he specifically saw the value of what Spinner brought to the table as a symbolic leader, and just in general being able to influence all these heteromorphs. And we know, based on all the people we've seen, like we've seen villains wearing Spinner costumes, just like we used to see people wear Stain and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that their plan had no regard for Spinner, and All For One propped up Spinner being able to lead effectively an army of heteromorphs, I feel like we gotta see where this goes, because now whatever site the Spinner and them go to, the heroes are pretty much guaranteed to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I said this I think last night. Definitely feels like a second jailbreak of at least some sort is coming. And it's confirmed Compress is coming back. I got volume 30 early. It says in one of the it says at the very end, Mr. Compress, he'll be back. So he's 110% guaranteed. Makia, I'll say that's a 90% guarantee. I think there's some room for it not happening, but not a whole lot. The real question is how many Paranormal Liberation Front members are coming back, if any at all.
So I think we
as
have
a
to see.
As a spokesperson for the PLF advisors, I shall speak on that front.
Right.
As of now, we have a known, I'd like to say, from the double spread from the war, when it said the revolution starts now, when heroes and PLF advisors are going head to head, out of I think like 12 of them, we have a confirmation that at least six or seven are still out and active in the world and did not get taken down. They were in the streets. 2, as far as Granny and Sanctum, we have no idea what their current status is. And the one that was taken down, 2 of them that were taken down was Shocker, the one that Kaminari took out, and the nigga with the gauges that was in Dobby's squad. And he was taken out by Gang Gorka. So we have a good amount of advisors that will, without a shadow of doubt, come back into play. Because you've seen Greninja here, first off. We don't know where Gas Mask God is, the one that took out, that one that killed Midnight. We don't know where he's at, and there's still a good amount of people, like even people in Twice's regiment, that have been missing and that weren't taken out in the first war. So there are a good amount of them that should be coming back, especially the ones that are tied with Spinner that we've seen not too long ago during the beginning of Stars and Strife fight. And that would be V, aka Disgustus, the one with the mask on his face, Cemento's younger brother, and the Bug Lady.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think my thing right now is more immediate. How is this specific fight going to go? Because the heroes want it to be the final battle, because otherwise a lot of them are going to die, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, Toga might have just switched that whole thing. Like she might have just changed the whole game.
No, she did. This went from being a strike team fight like war to no, this is now going to be a slog. Because even if Bakugo is, because like I think I brought it up before you got in here, but I talked about how Bakugo won the last game of Ketchakachan, and that was against the Deku that had spent a bunch of time out in the streets and likely was able to hit like 45% without, being in pain anymore. So his upper threshold's probably closer to 55, 60 at this point, because it was like a month and a half since that last update. So Bakugo is a lot stronger and more impressive, and I think he can surprise some people with being at a more capable spot than a lot of people would initially think. if you haven't factored that in, like the buff that Cluster really gave him. So it's like I can see it helping take a while because Explosion is one of the most flexible quirks in the series.
Yeah.
Enhanced durability, flight, speed. You basically just have good projectiles to create space, so he doesn't actually have to be within close range of Shigaraki anymore to be within, decay range. But if Shigaraki just decides to start spamming moves like the heavy payload air cannon, then I don't see how really any of them do anything.
Another thing though, Shigaraki just seems so out of it. Like he barely knows where he is. He was like, "Is this you, eh?" Oh, he was like,
"Yeah, I'm telling you that shit nah." Until I see Toga use the whole vial of blood, or that nigga get like pierced and no blood pops out, only goop. That's a con. Because this is just not sitting right with me. This nigga is not. He up here like a goon. Like he's no different than everybody else that just got teleport all around.
You know what's happening though? You know what's probably happening? The merge is probably almost complete, and Shigaraki is like on his last legs trying to fight All For One off. So, and it's happening right at the final battle. So something is going to be happening that interrupts that process, or something. Something is going to happen there.
Okay, real quick, let me hit up the super chat, and then I want to come back to what you just said. Prediction: Makia comes back into play, but Shinzo uses Persona Course to trick Makia, as in case of emergency, break glass type of thing. If he could replicate All For One's voice and diction with his plates, then yeah, that would totally work. Speaking of, though, because you mentioned that, we almost guaranteed have to go to the Vestige World.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
And I think that could be if we go into the Vestige World and All For One, while in prison, said he could hear his little brother during the chapter that we got the Shinso and Monoma team up and them discussing things. And that's when the acting like a villain thing happened. And of course, round 5 is also when we got the reveal of Black Whip. So obviously, Horikoshi definitely had this section of the story in mind while writing round 5. So from that perspective, we could also see Shigaraki going into the Vestige Realm in the middle of a fight. And then for some reason, Shinso helping Deku get there too. And I don't know if All For One can just pop in or out whenever he feels like it, but we could actually get this whole everyone getting pulled into the Vestige Realm kind of thing, and a Vestige battle could ensue. Which obviously I think some people would have take a major issue with a Vestige battle happening when all of this is happening in the real world, but it also kind of seems like something that is almost inevitable for the series. Like there needs to be at least one more conflict in the realm of the Vestiges, because Shigaraki needs to be able to interact with Nana Shimura again.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. And this time she needs to do more than say like one sentence to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they have a conversation that I feel like needs to come, because he needs to decide if he's going to try to live up to that legacy that he really wanted to as a child, or if he's going to completely fully embrace this villainy, or, which, as you mentioned earlier, Volk, the shonen protagonist tropes are far more heavily applied to like the League of Villains. From their rivalry between like Shigaraki and Dabi, for example, is a lot more like a typical shonen rivalry than what we have with Deku and Bakugo or Deku and Shoto, because these are things that are about coming to an understanding, respecting each other, and then moving past that and working together. Whereas Dabi and Shigaraki have that consistent tension even to now. It kind of seems like we have to get like just a little bit more out of this situation for their character arcs for it to really try.
And you know what I also did last night? I no-lifed and read 5 volumes of Akira after finishing 1 volume earlier.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah. It like in the back of my head, of course, like I was logging all the similarities to MHA, but like first and foremost, I wanted to read it because it's Akira, it's a manga classic. But you do notice a lot of the influences. Mm-hmm. Like there's a sequence at the end very much feels like the Vestige World. Like even like the lines are sort of drawn the same, and not going to spoil anything, but where Tetsuo ends up definitely feels like where Tenko might end up.
That's how I felt when I watched the movie. Especially when we got the arm scene and all that other stuff. Like when I looked at how the movie did some stuff, and I was like, that's why the term singularity was chosen. Got it. Yeah. Which I'm sure is what you were thinking of too. So I just wanted to convey that we were probably thinking of the same.
Yeah. And so now it's like, of course, there are significant differences. Of course, like Akira is a post-apocalyptic cautionary story about power. MHA mixes in a couple of those elements, but still predominantly is superhero shonen story. I think also like the thing with Tetsuo as well is as much as he's a threat, he's also sort of a pawn being bounced around. Like he's not like he has all this power, but he's also victim to it. And I feel like that's going to be the same thing with Shigaraki, where once he does eventually take the reins again, ultimately he is another victim. He is another victim of All for One's machinations and hero society. So,
and he showed up to the battle with like decay lines on his body.
Oh yeah. He's screwed.
So it's like. Will it be cool for him to have that realization? Sure. And I know some people will just be heartbroken over the idea of Shigaraki hitting this juncture and being like, damn, he kind of played me, but also I do hate everybody at this point. And
yeah,
it kind of is what it is.
Basically.
Of course, unless, aliens get involved, but I don't see that happening for real. But I probably will still make a video on it because that's a fun topic. Because the stuff is there. And so my thing is that do you think any of the three main villains emphasized here, as far as like the matchups go, like Dabi, Shigaraki, Toga, do you actually see any of them living through the end of the story?
I only see Toga living. That's it. Spinner maybe just Spinner and Compress maybe just like as sort of outside forces, but I think of like the main villains who have parallels set up with the protagonists. Toga is the only one alive. Also, Endeavor's with All for One and not Dabi. That's a big sign that something else is going to be happening there. Because he has to, like, the end of his character arc, whether he lives or dies, I think he's going to die, is going to have to be with Dabi. It's not going to be All for One. Also, Toga is like she's in this state where she wants the security of her old life, but she also wants to balance it with who she really is. So best ending for her will probably be being in a comfy jail cell for the rest of her life. And Shigaraki, I'm gonna share a little theory with you. I think Shigaraki is multiple personas battling each other even before All for One tried to take him over.
Yeah,
I think Shigaraki, that persona, the rage that was created by All for One. Tenko, the person who's interacting with the League and making friends with them and making genuine bonds. I think that's the Tenko side of him. I think that's gonna come into play somehow, where like you see in the Vestige World, like there are three different people fighting for control. There's All for One, there's Shigaraki, and right in the middle of them, holding them together, is Tenko, and he's still scared. So, there's so many directions this can go. I'm just spitballing here, but it's something I've picked up on.
Okay, none of us are okay. We're not killing off Dabi because we dislike the character or anything like that. Dude showed up wearing a funeral garb.
Oh yeah.
He's wearing funeral garbs.
I love Dabi. He's a great villain, but it's like he very much seems to me like I am going to suicide bomb my brother and father in one last blaze of glory and F you. And like he's just this despicable person. He's fun to watch, but he's a horrible man.
And like, look at his skin. Just look at his chest, then go all the way back to when he dropped his mixtape. It went from like a straight up bar across his chest of fresh skin to one of the patches being almost entirely burned off. And now him just having like this small little strip that doesn't even go fully across, and the burns moving up his hand side where I think he only has skin that isn't charred on like his fingertip digits essentially. So it's not a matter of us wanting to kill Dobby off so much as this man has been dying slowly the entire series. He's almost lost his nose when you look at that close up. It's like just encroaching closer and closer. Where if you recall, like the space between the staples used to be regular skin too. And now that's charred. So and the worst part about it is that this is to a point where AFO goading Endeavor here being like, yep, and you're still abusing the oldest. Like,
I love it.
Yeah, he's still gonna lead to Dobby getting his ass kicked, but this is one that he didn't. If he had it his way, it wouldn't be going down like this. And the fact, and we know what kind of kills me is that Dobby himself straight up was like, yeah, you started an agency full of fire users and partially in hopes of finding me. And it's like you were finally getting the attention from your dad, technically, that you wanted, but you still didn't want to, maybe cash in on that a little, but I don't know.
No, I just had a thought. It was gone.
Okay. One of those ones that came in well and then just kind of like flipped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so out of curiosity, does anybody think that Dobby versus Shoto is going to end in Dobby being disappointed and not getting to see Endeavor one more time? Or do we think that this is going to somehow Dobby and Shoto are going to land somewhere near Endeavor?
Yeah, near Endeavor.
Sure. Near Endeavor.
Yeah, near Endeavor as well.
Okay. So then the question is, do you think we're getting as they're fighting, they're going to actually just get hit with launchers and stuff like that, and it's not going to matter that they split each other up, or how are we seeing this going down? Let's start with Fish, because you've been kind of quiet.
Because what was it Sayers last week who had noted that the number one hero should be taking priority against like AFO, so that did make sense to me.
Yeah, shout out to Sayers. Those were W last week.
Yeah, I just came to take this win.
Oh. That was definitely a W on Sayers' part, because that made a lot of sense to me as well, saying that. So I really do believe, I just can't fathom how it's going to come about, but I do believe like Endeavor will face Dobby at some point. It has to happen. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh no, Sayers, because when I saw that you were in here, I was like, all right, real quick. Yeah, sure, that question, but also your thoughts on the chapter as you come in.
I really like the chapter. I mean, overall, of course, I like the whole stuff with All for One and Endeavor, even though I'm worried. I like to see this whole Shoto Dobby thing that's going to happen, because I mean, ultimately, it has always been going toward a Shoto versus Dobby fight, and we just thought, I think all of us thought that at least a few weeks ago that Shoto versus Dobby would happen after Endeavor versus Dobby, and now it already happens here. So we don't know if a Dobby versus Endeavor is going to happen at all, or whether we are going to have Shoto Dobby, then Endeavor Dobby, and then again Shoto Dobby, which would mean that if we had that version with him first fighting Shoto, then Endeavor, then Shoto again, that would mean the manga is going to take a whole lot longer, just in terms of wrapping up this Todoroki plot. And then, of course, I mean, I'm super worried about Best Jeanist. I think that Best Jeanist is now the character most likely to die. I mean, Bakugo, of course, also is in a difficult situation, but I think the Bakugo will survive at least. But Genius, I think, had Death Flags before, and now that he is there with Shigaraki and without Deku, that is just bad.
Oh
That's
yeah.
bad. And yeah, other than that, I'm kind of curious what Toga is doing, whether she has a plan, whether they came up with some plan revolving Twice Blood, which gave her a chance to take Deku's quirk or to keep him down, or whether she just does this now because she likes Deku so much and is a bit obsessed with him, which we know she is. So overall, I like the chapter. I think the matchups for the most part make sense. For example, Froppy or Araka. I mean, that makes perfect sense with Toga because they've clashed with her before, at least Uraraka. And Froppy, of course, has been kind of playing sidekick to Uraraka for a while now. Shodabi makes sense, of course, Never AFO. I've talked about this last week. And I have to admit, Bakugo Genius versus Shigaraki is not something I saw coming at all. And this is the biggest surprise with Deku being pulled into this Toga fight. So I'm wondering what's going to happen there and why it was done. Like, why did Horikoshi decide that we're going to put Deku into this fight first before letting him go on to Shigaraki? Because it does somehow imply that Deku has to get to Bakugo.
Yeah,
if that's maybe. I mean, technically, I guess they could send Monoma out again to search him, but somehow they have to get him there.
Which, yeah, tarnish cosigning the sidekick comment. So,
also, I noticed in the volume 30, volume 30 extra. It says during the war when Toga and the League encounter 1A and they're trying to stop Gigantomachia in the mud pit and the cables and put him to sleep, yada yada. She's looking for Deku, Ochako, and Orsuyu. And those three characters, those three characters are against her right now. So she's sort of going back and like correcting a missed opportunity. So she probably wants to talk to them at first because she is concerned about like do people even care about me? Right? Like that's her whole thing. Are the heroes going to, like, if the heroes are willing to kill people, does that mean these people that I have an attachment to are going to kill me? Like there's that contradiction there where she kills people, but then she's also scared of it happening to her. So it's like there's a lot of contradiction going on there.
What's interesting about that too is that if you think about it, it's like she's both infatuated and afraid of dying. And I say that because, like you mentioned, she talks about like, oh, will the heroes kill me? But on the opposite end of that spectrum, when you go back to My Villain Academia and she's injured and she's in the shed, she's like, is this what it was like to be like them? I want to be closer to them. And we got that reveal of her like killing, what's his face? Daiko, whatever the dude's name was, the Deku lookalike. And it's like, when she's on that verge of death, she can think about people she's loved and she can kind of take comfort in the fact that if she's dying, she's becoming like them too. So it's like this weird dance that she's like towing along the edge of death, like just staring down over the precipice, but not quite embracing it. What was it that something said actually? Maybe. Oh, people have been talking about this. We have yet to see Shigaraki successfully steal a quirk. How would you feel if he stole Gina's quirk? Especially because if you remember back in Kamino, All for One was like, this wouldn't fit Tomura's disposition at all. So, but if he were to take Gina's quirk, he would be able to manipulate the terrain, like, because like, these are all platforms on carbon fiber cables. So you'd be able to move all this stuff around and shuffle it. So the question is like, do you think that there's a chance that with Bakugo and Genis in this moment, that Genis ends up sacrificing himself to ensure Bakugo can keep fighting for him or fighting for the good guys, especially because when it comes to offense, the only two people we know for sure are in the Shigaraki Dome right now are Bakugo and Genis. And if you were wagering on Shigaraki going down here, I think we all agree that Bakugo is more important to that plan as far as getting the damage off and stuff goes.
I'm just surprised you went for the genus route and not the Bakugo route. Somewhat surprised.
So one of the reasons why I see this is because Bakugo kind of has a lot of archetypical tragic shonen MC stuff within his story arc, from the kidnapping to him temporarily losing his master to being able to recover a master. Because like everybody who becomes Bakugo's master ends up like fading away somehow, or like they drop, being denied and having to grow as a person to prove that you're actually a good enough hero. All these normal things that shonen MCs go through, and then the only thing left is like, here he is with his super heavily injured master who could potentially die in front of him. That would give him that final like push to try to do his best, and then still end up losing to Shigaraki unless Deku comes in and saves him in time.
Yeah, because I see all that, but I could also see like with all the stuff you said, tying that in with Bakugo's quirk being the one being stolen, because then that gives Shigaraki the advantage to be like, okay, decay all of UA. I can now fly because I have explosions, and I saw how you did it, Bakugo. So it gives him a little bit more. If he's able to like use Bakugo's quirk like he does, gives him more of a maneuverability that way. That's just a random thought.
Oh no, I'm not even against that idea at all.
Yeah.
Like it's just because
And
explosion
also-
is
Yeah,
technically difficult to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also kind of parallels where like, because if we are reaching the end of the story, it kind of in a weird story sense, ending the story with Bakugo being quirkless now, and Deku ending the story with a quirk, whereas the beginning of it, they had their little dynamic there. I don't know, just random thought.
I mean, it's good. Also, let me hit this. This is Jono Giovanna, who came through with the super chat, says, dope chapter, final spread is dope as hell. We letting Hori cook. Man, imagine being one of those people who didn't want to let Hori cook. Couldn't be me.
Tragic.
Especially because what it really was just people assuming that we were in the last arc in the previous arc. Or sorry, the arc before the previous arc. Coyote, the fact that you want Bakugo to lose his quirk means that he's probably fine, because only people who suffer are the characters you like.
Damn,
That
wait,
was me.
don't say that. That nigga fuck with Greninja too, and I'm waiting for that nigga.
What happened when Coyote got attached to that Nomu?
Man, listen.
What happened when Coyote decided he liked Crust?
Bro, listen.
Midnight.
Speaking of Crust, who is this Crust wannabe?
Like,
Like there's this one
Damn.
character that has these
Damn,
weird
nigga.
scales, right?
Oh,
you had to do him like that, cuz. Damn.
Who is that? That's a
Damn.
similar.
Who that little ugly ass nigga? I'm like, damn, bro.
She called him a fraud. I'm here for it.
Yeah, who that
Because
who
he
that-
looks
who that
kind of similar,
poser?
right? And he does have the same scales, the same what's that? Hexagonal scales.
He
So
didn't reveal that Crust was his big brother.
it must have to be some brother or at least a sidekick. But
Yeah, most like a
I mean,
side. Everybody got
sidekicks-
sidekicks
but
around here.
sidekicks don't have like the exact identical quirks, so they look related.
I mean, yeah, I
Orca sidekicks has quirks similar to him. His little shit. And even Endeavor has some.
Yeah, I was about to say,
mean,
didn't Endeavor have some fire people?
Yeah, and then it can look similar, but play
Yeah,
out
but it's not like
different.
the same thing. Like I mean, this is even the shape of the scales are. the
I mean, it's
same,
just,
and-
we could just see it play out a little bit more because
Yeah, we haven't seen him even use the quirk yet.
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's just at this point, I'm suspecting that they are at least somewhat related because
I mean, yeah, ain't no problem with
this
that.
quirk is more similar. Like Burnin's quirk is definitely different to Endeavor's quirk, and
yeah, because her quirk is like,
Yeah.
my hair is on fire at all times.
right.
It's
I mean,
great.
that's completely different quirks, but this is really similar quirk.
My thing is that what was he shielding? This man just popping random shields off his eyes.
I don't know. I think
See, this is what I mean when I say that the Crust family is just straight crusty.
Oh my god!
No
Look what
control
you did.
over
Look
the
what you
quirk.
did.
He's
You
just
got him
one-sided.
started, man.
Tragic.
Niggas can't even
You
rest.
done
in
got
peace.
this nigga started.
He
Oh.
can
But
rest
yeah, we
in
were talking
piss.
about Bakugo, and I actually wanted to say that I think Bakugo is going to have a great time. Like, I of course, he has no chance against Shigaraki, but I do think that he still gets a chance to really shine in this story. Because so far, Bakugo, when it comes to fighting, he's always kind of taken a backseat.
Oh yeah. He
Like,
doesn't
it's
even
really
have
hard
his-
to pick out a standout Bakugo fight other than training.
Yeah.
Maybe that isn't a school fight. So this could really be his time to shine.
like his first time.
I think this fight is it. This is his moment right here.
Horcrux
to
is,
be
I mean,
honest.
Horcrux
Like,
said it, so you can't get no greater.
honestly, like, you know what I expect? I expect a final exam parallel where he's like bleeding. He's like the last one standing, like get his ass beat, and he's still fighting. I expect a scene like that, to be honest.
Also, welcome to the club, Tarnish.
That nigga just slid in here.
Hey.
All right, so since you just popped in, Tarnish, give your thoughts.
Yeah, y'all got me hyped. Y'all got me hyped when y'all was talking about Crest. Oh no, this chapter is amazing. I don't even got much to say. Like, my favorite part was Deku getting taken by Toga though, because it's always something going wrong for Deku.
So my question is, what do you guys think Toga's actual, because like, do you think okay, this is actually a good prediction point here. Do you think we're going to pick up where we leave off here with the Toga Deku stuff being censored, or do you think we're cutting away to focus on some of the other matchups?
I think it's Toga Deku Center.
I hope we follow up. Yeah, I want to follow up too.
Also,
Yeah.
There might be a chance of like Toga inquiring as to what exactly Deku and Ochako's relationship is, because she's always been very curious about that. And like there's a lot of subtext that she sort of wants in on that too, which is like very in line with who she is. Yeah. Also, like Gang Orca's agency, it looks like it's in the tropics. It looks like it's on one end of Japan. So Deku is very far away from everybody else now. This is probably the worst thing that could have happened. Like, even if he was with Dabi, he could be like, okay, still in like a general vicinity of UA, because All Might was able to drive back right to Kamino. It wasn't super long, but now it's like he seems to be way out of it.
Even if I was
He's far
Deku,
away.
even if I was Deku, I'm not leaving Suyu and Ochako to fight high end nobles with Gang Orca. Like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying to fight right now.
I mean, that's Deku's
No
girl.
cap.
His
He said
friend.
that's Deku's
no.
girl. That's his
He-
lady.
He's
Come on.
not leaving. He's not leaving.
So I was chilling, but this is a perfect time to bring up this topic here in this discussion, because we were having this discussion the VC. And says, do you want to bring up started because it was your point?
That's my point. That was that of course I don't think that Suyu, Uraraka, Gang Orca, and whoever is that shadowy figure in the back are the only heroes in this group. And I do think they made these teams big enough that they are expected to handle the situation that they are going to face. Of course, expected here doesn't mean they are going to win, but rather it means that within this plan, somebody thought that this group of people can handle whoever they are going to face. And I do think that they had enough control in picking out their opponents to know that there might be a high end or two in the mix of in Uraraka's battle. So I don't actually think that this group without Deku would have been completely lost. And that's why I think that with Deku, but this is which is why I'm really confused as to why she pulls Deku in, because with Deku in the mix, that should really tip the power balance into the side of the heroes in this group specifically. Of course, it will have tremendous consequences, terrible consequences with Bakugo and his team. But on Uraraka's side, I think Deku being put into this team will make this team super powerful, because I do think that even without Deku, they should have been powerful enough, not necessarily to win, but at least to put up a fight. Because otherwise, I just think it would be stupid to make a team that isn't even expected to to put up a fight against whoever they are supposed to face. And absolutely, and we see this here, they did have some choice in who they're going to face. Of course, they might not have picked every single minor villain, but at least about the big guys, they made conscious decisions as to who these characters are going to fight.
So what I'll say about that is this. Also, to add to your point real quick before I go on my side of things. To add to this, we still know who's here. Now, if you had a team with Ochako, Suyu, Gangorka, now there's multiple people and characters missing in action. We don't know where they're at. If you threw in 13 here and President Mike and maybe Vlad, that's a really good team. Now, so to speak, the villains still outweigh and in some cases outclassed, because once again, these people from prison are big bads and they already had months to stretch their legs and they were having fun. Now the heroes were running themselves dry over this month, trying to find off one to get their plans together. The villains, they had free range. They were doing whatever they want and so as they please. So they got time to get back into the game, and they're not rusty what they used to be. So there's still some sleepers within the villains, but a decent enough team is that, like I said, if they got Mike or another hero, Vlad, and then 13, they could put up a decent fight, but still they would lose to the Nomu. Because I think a lot of people kind of undermining what these Nomu are truly capable of, like two of them, because they got so much stuff we can't even account for, on top of being that much of a threat themselves alone. So at their base, they're extremely dangerous. Deku here is saving everybody's life, is giving everybody a fighting chance to live. Yes. But him taking on two is not he would come out like Bakugo and Hero in World Mission, like if he had to take on two like that. He'd be doing good. I can see that. Two, he not going to be flexing and finessing on that. He can.
The thing is, he's not going to be 1v2. He's not going to be 1v2 in though.
But I'm saying, but they also have backup on their side. The villains don't also got hitters and sleepers on their side too. That's what I'm saying. It's like, we don't know what the villains are still packing. They got Hanzo. Hanzo got hold the first time, yes. But in MHA, once again, just because you get hold one time doesn't mean you weak. They used the balls to trap him, and then he used a 1% flick and spun them into a water tornado. But Hanzo is in his element right now, and we don't know who else they got in the back. Anybody else they got in the back that can match up with the heroes they got. So it's like, do they have?
Yeah, but I think, for example, if you put in the hero team, if you put characters like Ryukyu, Mirko, or Edgeshot into the hero team, because all of these characters, it's not just Mike and some other, like Mike is not exactly top tier, like he's good, but he's not top tier. But we actually have top 10 characters on account for. We don't know where Wash is. We don't know where Mirko or Edgeshot or Ryukyu are.
Wash has to be here. Wash has to be
I think Wash is here because of water fight. I think Ryukyu is definitely here because Tsuyu and Uraraka are here. Which makes already top 10 characters in this team, possibly.
Ryukyu can actually be at UA too, which will help because they have floating platforms in there, and it would need to be mobile. We don't know where Ryukyu is at technically, because I do think that it's also a point. Of course, I think that she could be in UA, but I also think putting her with Uraraka and Tsuyu would also make sense, which also means that maybe Nejire is that too. No, Nejire is in UA.
Nah, I heard Nejire is at UA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Where is she?
The crew at UA are Bakugo, Genist, Mirko, Edgeshot, and Nejire. What we know so far, you see them heading to the portal.
Oh, you see. You think all of these are?
Yeah.
No, all right, I get it.
Bakugo and them went to the same portal that they had to go to the same.
Okay, you see all of these. You're assuming that they're staying. That makes sense. Yeah.
There are probably also other heroes waiting at UA just like to jump them. They're like, "Hey, bitch, welcome."
like bitch ass bird did, yeah. But that's my thing too. Is like,
yo, did y'all talk about that? He's
wild. The bitch ass bird. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah,
they tried to kill off one.
Like I said,
Hawks not even being able to break the helmet was the funniest thing.
It's like that.
He's like welcome to hell, bitch. Oh wait,
it's like that meme. We're all if you come at us, it's gonna be all of us versus one of you if it has to be, which is what All For One tried to pull on Deku, but they knew that was gonna happen, so they did this.
No, I love I love how relaxed Endeavor is when it turns out that Hawks is basically useless. Endeavor's just like, relax. I didn't think he
'cause
would
he
be
already
able to do
knew, like-
anything anyway.
Oh,
he
I'm
wasn't
so
fine with
I don't know
happy.
why you
son.
apologizing to him.
Like, he like,
Horikoshi-
nigga, I knew you wasn't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, Horikoshi has a bad habit of destroying all these really cool character designs in like a chapter or so flat. So I was scared for a minute. Oh my god, is that cool mask gonna be gone? Nope. It seems to be made of very strong material, not too dissimilar to the UA barrier, if it can't be destroyed that easily. So, yeah, I hope to see it on
Yeah,
him
it ain't-
for.
Hey yo,
A
and
while.
not chill, bro.
It ain't your Hawk. It ain't as easy for Hawks when the villain actually knows what's coming this time. I see.
Oh yeah, talk that shit, nigga. It ain't easy when you can't just stab somebody in the back. Yeah, that's crazy. Ain't that easy, huh? Jeez, who would have thought? A real fight when you're not stabbing somebody in the back, real hard, huh? That's crazy. But yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Tokoyami being at All for One's location is crazy. He's
Bruh,
about to use,
bro, he about to get
to
that
the
talking
fullest
hawk
extent.
for that bird bounce out.
He's got to get Ragnarok working in broad daylight because
No cap. That's
Yeah.
that's basically what he has to do.
yeah. And you know what? They were training for a whole month after the war, like in between trying to find Deku, and then after they had like that extra week. So they're probably just all in at this point.
Tyler, it's not happening,
definitely
Tyler.
on.
Unless you know that now.
I'm
It's
sorry.
never happening.
Even after reading the officials, I really just can't see it. I don't think Shoto's ready to fight Dabi. I
Bruh.
don't think he's ready.
Why would the officials change that? Like, it was, unless it
not
was
ready.
added pages of like some shit we didn't see. That shit was full of me.
Okay, I don't.
Because
I don't want to bring this
when
up.
you read the leaks, when you read the leaks and you just think the worst. I just thought the worst, and now I'm like, I'm calm. I'm rationalized everything. I still don't see it.
I don't. I rarely read the leaks. I did hear about Deku being with Toga, so I was wondering, wait, did he go with Uraraka willingly? No, that was like he got dragged in. So
do you see the situation like, because Aniki had asked earlier what would happen with Endeavor and AFO for him to eventually face Dabi? So in this situation, how do you think, well, if it was going to depend on the situation of Dabi and Shoto, how do you see that going down? Like Dabi folding Shoto, then going to go find Endeavor, or what do y'all think?
See, I don't think he's gonna fold Shoto because I don't think Shoto's weak. I just don't think he's ready to fight like Dabi. Because the way Dabi plays with people's heads, the way he fights, it's just like they fought before, and Shoto got smoked where he wasn't holding back. So I don't know. Like he don't even seem like he's worried about him. The way he's looking at him, he's like
his eyes was set on Endeavor, and he was like, "Yo, I didn't expect to see you here," because yo, he wants it. That's his main focus. Like Shoto was just a tool to get at Endeavor even more so.
He an obstacle in his way. Like
exactly,
really
it's like
in his way.
Exactly. So that's why when he got blasted here, it's like, man, fuck that little punk ass little trap. We bust that shit down and like that's all we needed. And they threw him back to the fort. He like, nigga, my dad was right there, bro. And you see how anxious he was at the wait, and All For One told that nigga to chill out.
No cap. Bro, the thing about it too is that Shoto likes to talk. Like people think Dabi like to talk. Shoto like to talk too. When he fought Dabi in the war, he was talking mad shit to him. He was like, "What about Natsuo? What about this? What about that?" He don't care about none of that.
Bro, he gonna be trying to.
Why are you talking to him about that?
He gonna be trying to chat that nigga up because at first he had the full conviction. Now that was when he had the anger in his heart. Now if you calm down the anger and then you love someone, then you got like you start trying to make excuses for them and like ease up the hatred and this, that, and the other. He over here like, oh, I'm gonna make him eat. I bet he like hot udon, and I'm gonna make him sit down and eat a bowl. oh, brother. Said the hospital was like, I gotta take care of him.
That's what I'm
he kind of eased up. He like, he my brother though, my big brother. He be trying to talk. Now people like, bro, okay, nigga, I don't care. What the fuck?
He would smack him if he had to.
Bro, he was just burning that nigga up a month ago.
Bro, that's the thing. Like, I swear to God, I'm not even hating.
Dobby literally looked at this man, said, "Look at your friends down there having fun, but there's no fun for you, only pain," as he gave him a bear hug while on fire.
While smiling, talking about, oh, poor Shoto. I'm like, hello,
Dog
nigga?
said, "Bring it in."
This man is crazy. That's what I'm telling y'all. He's crazy.
He's
Like,
objectively
Soto's not
unhinged.
ready for these games.
He said objectively.
Soto's not
unhinged.
ready for these games.
Really not. And fourth round
He's not.
penguin, you asking the real questions. I wonder where Snipe is. You asking the real questions, fourth round penguin. And I believe Shigaraki and Snipe gonna run it back real quick. You know what I'm saying? We're like, hey, man. I should have popped your ass in the head the first time, nigga.
Every time somebody like randomly posts that clip, it's like, damn, everything might have been avoided if this nigga
I could
just
have
aimed
saved
a little
everybody.
high.
Yep.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Horikoshi acknowledged that and have Snipe die at UA and be like, I could have stopped all this. And it was like, you should have aimed for the head.
That's what I was saying with like the Shinso stuff. And it's like Horikoshi was like, y'all was talking about how these niggas could really mess the game up, and I locked them out. I kept them out the game. I would sit at a press conference at Camino instead of letting All Might just run it back. So I'm gonna give you what you was asking for. I'm gonna just make sure that the person who's fighting can actually deal with not having a squirt. But like even then, because all of us throughout the board were like, yeah, he could have folded these niggas. He could have folded these niggas, bro. But it didn't matter because coulda, shoulda, woulda. You quirkless right now, so you still like it is what it is.
H-time 004. Oh, you better speak. Say, go ahead.
I just realized, are those the same or similar teams as in joint training? Was Tsuyu with Uraraka in joint training?
No.
No.
It was
thought they were
Deku in training, but Sue was with
Kaminari.
Sue was with Kaminari, yeah.
All right,
Kirishima.
Yeah. So, no. I just saw that Shoto and Ingenium were together, so I then remembered Uraraka and Tsuyu wrong. So forget that.
No, because it could still end up coming into play. Like we don't know who else is with Bakugo right now. So like we see Sato, Jiro, and Sero here, then that's the team Bakugo led. So we're bringing back these internal synergies. Just like we don't know where Momo is yet, but I guarantee you wherever she's at, she's going to be important. She's one of the movers and shakers of the squad.
God.
Check that.
I hope she's where Shoto's at because he's gonna need some support after this. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people we ain't seen, but on the flip side, there's a lot of niggas we don't know.
Man, okay, what I will say is my boy Inasa gotta show up, man. Don't do me like
I'm
this.
saying, bro.
Don't do me like this, Hori. You already got people on my neck about Mirio. Come on.
Man, listen, man. Y'all gonna be acting. Monarchy, you and Giorno gonna be acting like me when Mirio pop up and start blasting niggas real quick. Y'all gonna be acting just like me when Mirio. I'll be sitting back there eating. I'm like, the tables are turned. Look at y'all.
I need to see that Phantom Menace. I need to see him be.
Mirio being completely unaccounted for as of yet is like we haven't seen him last chapter.
Very strange.
Haven't seen him this chapter. We have no idea where he is.
Does he exist anymore? Does he exist, bro?
I also want to know where Eri is, just for her safety. Because okay.
Did he come?
Because think about this for a second. We don't know how many, like we know Off One wouldn't just only focus on having a trader at UA. We know that. And we know realistically Off One would know about the deleter rounds because Dr. Garaki was able to go in between Tartarus anyway. So we have the option that they possibly had contact at some point. So my thing is not knowing where Mirio is also not knowing where Eri is.
Mm-hmm.
And she could just get to live happy, peaceful, and be removed from this because that was the goal of her story arc. And let's be real, I don't think anybody here wants Eri to suffer anymore, right? Like,
I'm good off that.
So it's not like I necessarily want her to be attacked. It's just
makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like this makes sense for the villains to focus on this thing because Eri was so important. Even beyond just the scope of the quirk erasing bullets, but if All For One found out that her quirk was just straight or rewind, maybe he could just use force quirk activation on her and make her rewind his body so that he, has a face again.
Yeah, there's also the thing that, I mean, we know that Horikoshi, of course, uses her quirk in a way that doesn't make her completely broken, but she does pose a certain danger in the future when she gets older and has better control of her quirk. And for somebody like All For One, I think it makes no sense to not target Rewind, because there is a possibility that Rewind can undo him stealing quirks, in the sense that she could just give One For All back to All Might and Deku, and then he suddenly has two of those. There is this possibility that Rewind can do that, and I think that's not something that All For One would want to risk, that suddenly he has to face two One For Alls.
Yeah. It's just, right, so there is, like, obviously margins of error on this. It's just, I have to bring up, like, how do we see Aries quirk if it ends up having to come to the forefront? Because in of itself, how powerful that quirk is not being really addressed later on at this point in the story, when we had the story kind of focus on everything that's been important up until now, would be odd. So,
all right. Well, this is a real serious question right here. It's very important that I get your answer. So I'm on Grubhub. Should I order this pho? You know what I'm saying?
Pho is delicious. Hold up.
Like I already had one. I got the beef pho, of course. I gotta get this time. I'm making sure, because last time I fucked up, I forgot to add hoisin sauce on the order and sriracha. So I'm putting it in there this time. But should I get the Thai tea with it too? Because I don't know if they're gonna have the bubble balls, bro. They don't got the bubble balls. It's just not the same.
Shit. Go for it, bro. Get you a nice refreshing beverage.
You're right. I'm like, hey, put bubble balls in my shit, please.
Like,
no, fuck you. Oh, come on, man. Be nice.
I'll be honest, y'all. I'm worried for Hori's health, because we got four double spreads this chapter, and it's just ramping up. Y'all know he not going to quit.
He just gonna watch. One day I'm gonna hop on, and it's just gonna be a chapter of double spreads.
No. They don't realize that. They believe he really blown out, and he washed. They believe he can't go no more.
The way he's about to go so hard this arc.
Listen. This is finna be the arc.
Yeah, I think that we see that he has been waiting for this arc. He has a little fun with it now. And I don't really think that's a bad thing. I mean, of course, he will have to take a break sooner or later. But I mean, in the end of the day, this whole writing, of course, it's work, but it's also a creative process. And sometimes it just comes out of you, and you wanna create. So.
But this is funny because one of the editors was talking about, they had an interview. I think it was related to the movie. They talked about horror. They was like, so like, some people struggle with ideas or coming up with stuff last minute, this, that, and the other.
He never runs out.
Exactly. They talk about he never runs out of ideas. They said literally the issue with him is how to fit all the fucking ideas.
People who work with him said that.
Which
not us, like people who actually work with him said that. Like that he never runs out.
And now I have a question. Do you guys think that like editors keep like trying to get him to trim ideas out?
Definitely, because they even talked about it. It was
they seem to.
We don't know where to put stuff or how to get stuff in there.
Part of me feels like one of the reasons people end up feeling like, oh man, I feel like I wanted this or that, is because Hori's like, he sneaks stuff by his editor, like, yeah, I'm gonna use this foreshadowing. Yeah. And then they're like, hey, we ain't got time for that later on. He's like, but I was trying to build up to this, you know what I'm saying?
Already foreshadowed it.
So it's like, I feel like he has to fight for certain side characters.
Honestly,
no lie. I feel like that's him with Class 2B right now, because he dead ass said they were gonna come back, but like, when is that gonna happen?
Yeah, dead ass.
Like, when is he gonna introduce the other kids?
Honestly, I feel like he used to slick shit by years ago, but now at this point, they already said they can't check that nigga. They're like, all right, he do what we want. He do what he wants.
Also,
he even said it in the thing too. He was like, in the mangaka book about advice and stuff like that. He's like, yo, fight your editor tooth and nail. He's like, literally fight your editor on your ideas and bring your stuff to life, no matter what. It's like, don't give up. He's like, fight them on that shit.
Yeah. I also think that there's just a point in writing, being a mangaka, at which when your series is just already successful and it becomes clear that the things you do, they get read, they are kind of starting to be a bit more hands-off. Like, I think now that he's 300, 400 chapters in, he can do a lot more stuff than he could in the beginning. So now he has it much easier slipping things in.
I mean, yeah, he a veteran. They can't really talk to him like he a child no more. Like,
Bro, what is this
You-
panel of UA in the sky, bro?
I'm so happy we don't have to go diving deep into this. Like, I'm so happy Hot Man's like, yo, we gonna have this shit floating. Nah, she didn't talk about how they're gonna have a fucking glass force field around the bitch and multiple floating platforms.
Bro, what is this? Look, it looked like there's spaceships in there, bro. This is
Nah,
like
I need y'all.
So, do you know what my favorite thing about this though is? One of the lines from the very beginning of the series. If we hadn't had to deal with the advent of quirks, we probably would have mastered space exploration. And when you see tech like this, you get that. You're like, this is why he said that.
But it does sound, I have to say, it looks terribly risky because this is a huge thing. If this thing falls down, it's going to kill, I don't know how many thousands of people down there.
Oh, yeah, it's on Nagashima, baby.
Like Shigaraki, I mean, sure, this is specifically made to stop
Shigaraki.
Shigaraki from using his quirk, but it's still, it can be destroyed. And
Hey,
Nah,
man, listen.
Wait,
Listen.
yo,
If you put,
this is like top 5 double spread we got all year, right? Like so far.
Yeah, this art's going
last
crazy.
year too, like, bro, I can't comprehend like what is going on,
bro. I'm trying to tell you, bro. If this shit is how the fucking arc started off. This is how we popping off, and it's already making the war look baby in comparison.
Even narratively, it's popping off because Toga pulling Deku, that's important. Like that's a conversation that needs to be
Center with the
had.
heteromorphs.
fact-
Like, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Hey, Shola, we really not being the sky high allegations. Horikoshi seen that shit. He ain't see Avatar or Ben 10, but he sees Sky High. So we we gotta take time for that one.
This UA barrier low key reminded me of as soon as I saw it and it's floating in the sky and like just how the barrier looks, like the walls or whatever. It made me think of Naruto with the third Hokage fighting Orochimaru in that barrier.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, is what you said is they fucked themselves over. Yeah, you're right. Okay, true.
Well,
I don't see no Deku there. So can you imagine? We was talking about this at VC Friday. It was like, bro, can you imagine like whatever location you at, and there's some bullshit in every location, like you gotta think, like you gotta pull out, you gotta see some of those convicts, and you gonna look at them niggas and be like, but what
There's a normal
everywhere. You gotta pull
bro,
a huge. You gotta pull a what's their names during the Cullen games when they was just waiting for niggas to fall out the sky.
Oh yeah,
That would have been me. I would have just been posted up, like,
bro. Dad, listen. I swear to God, fuck all that hero bullshit. If I pulled up where Toga was at, and I seen that nigga, that normal sitting on the ground, and the other one with a bazooka in his hand, I'm walking back out. I'm running.
Like, low key, the villains lucky Bakugo. Like for the villains who landed here, they're lucky Bakugo wasn't already here instead, because he literally would have just blew them niggas away.
Yeah,
like he would have hit him with a huge explosion. But like,
the fact that Bakugo's with Shigaraki is like he up there in terms of power, bro. Endeavor not there. Like he up there with them cluster shots.
You're saying Bakugo is stronger than Endeavor?
He just said that, Saya.
I'm saying he's up there in terms of strength. Like he's a well enough fighter to be put there.
Yeah, but
during the war, he was leading Endeavor. I mean, he's the one that made him throw in that prominence burn that almost killed Shiggy.
I was on keeping Endeavor cool. I'll handle the flight. Once I get you close enough, I'll toss you. But to be fair, Endeavor's whole reality was destroyed.
Oh yeah,
during that war.
Yeah,
that was before the reveal though.
I know, but I'm saying like he already had to deal with that stuff with Shigaraki. He got slapped by Shigaraki. Like he got humbled mid-fight. Like when he got used as a cue ball to knock out Ryukyu. Oh no. Bro, he was like, whoever got advice, I'm taking it. All ears. Let me hear it.
I thought Ryuki was gonna quit after that. I was like, damn, she ain't even like.
Yeah, you was hard on her. You was questioning what she was gonna do after that. He was like,
I'm still wondering where she at. Like, I know she ain't quit because we saw that panel of her, but like, who is she fighting?
Somewhere. I mean, honestly, I understand why everybody. Now, Mirio, I told you he come back at hands, but other characters understand why they're not on screen because like somebody said the page count decreased. Did you see how many shit was on each panel? Like how many double spreads we got? The angle, like, don't even get me started on the Davi and Shoto shit. That wasn't even that. That was a different dynamic.
Approaching me. You're approaching
like the way that was drawn. Double spread before that. Double spread after. Like UA, bro. All the little details.
Nah. The UA double spread alone makes up for the lack of pages.
He's on a parent.
Yeah,
like you can tell when Horikoshi is like really invested in his drawing. Like his setup chapters, he normally saves himself. He normally is more reserved. Normally keeps it to like single pages, like 15 page or whatnot. When he gets to the big action arcs, he did this with POW and he's doing it again here. That's when he goes all out and he's just on fire with the pen. He's just and man, like he just keeps getting better too. So I can't wait to see what he's going to pull off here. And what's cool about this is that this is like literally the least crazy part. It's going to keep heating up from here. All for one, like I'm wondering about this. What All for One is in a place where like he's caught between. He's not with Shigaraki. He's also not with Deku. He's gonna try to link up with Shigaraki again. So, what is gonna happen to him? Does his physical body die and he fully shifts over to his vestige, or is something gonna? I don't know. A lot of question marks.
Okay, so I like that you asked that though, because my favorite thing about this is that Hawks failing to kill All for One is the important takeaway here. It's that we fully
trying
understand.
To kill him.
Yes, they are actively going to murder All for One. This is not a question in any of the heroes' minds.
That's what I put together as soon as I saw that. I said, yeah, Horikoshi wants us to know off the rip, like we're not.
This is a fight to the death. They are actively trying to kill him.
Like I said, rightfully so. Like this ain't no time for morality. Heroes don't kill this and other. Nigga, the entire world is at the stake.
This is a fight for survival.
This is war. This ain't no fucking kids game no more. This is war.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Lock niggas up, go to prison. Nah, it's over for all of that.
Yeah, like before
for the big players.
Before, when All Might apprehended him, like Japan doesn't have a death penalty.
No, they do.
Well, it doesn't have a death penalty. It does. Okay.
Yeah. No. Okay. So the issue
in MHA, I don't know, but in reality,
no. MHA, they do have a
death.
I got this. I got you covered, y'all. So peep this, because this goes back to the video research that I did a long time ago. Japan's death penalty has an 80% approval rate, specifically because of a domestic terrorist act committed by Shoko Asahara. Now, the thing about this is, if you remember over a year ago, I did that Shinrikyo video. If you just skew that a little more, a lot of the same things and even more of some other aspects of that character also apply to AFO. So by them, basically by Hero Society trying to kill who is effectively a Shoko Asahara representative in the story, it is very much reflective of this is what Japan would do. This is a very Japanese, like, this is our struggle. This is how we would handle it, because they hung that dude back in 2018. Yeah. So going for the neck, perfect. Super chat from Mr. Andrew. I don't know what's going on, so just tell me yes or no. Is Makia free yet? Or are you not including him to finish the Mina Kirishima storyline with Sut? Makia is just like this thing that's just hanging in the background, just waiting for it.
I'll be honest. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't even know. Like, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but I don't even think Horikoshi know what to do with him right now. Because
when was the last time we saw Maki? I can't even remember.
You don't see him.
You don't see him, but last you see the bunker around him at Jakku. Like, they didn't even bother moving him. They're just tying him down in the ruins of Jakku and making sure he stays there and constantly sedating him. So I guess with All for One, the thing was like they were going to sort out the paperwork to get him killed eventually, because nobody knows who he is either. So like he was just this dude who showed up all of a sudden. So that was going to take a lot of legal bullshit to go through. And also, like, even if All for One, this is what I was trying to say, even if All Might had killed All for One, he still would have been an active threat because his quirk vestige would have been preserved, and that would have gotten Shigaraki, and he'd still be trying to take him over. So either way, he's made things so that he's always going to come out on top no matter what. Like he'd rather keep his physical body alive if possible, because it is possible for hyper regeneration to heal him. But if that's not going to be the case, he can take over Shigaraki and continue living through him. So.
That's what he thinks.
Well, okay, and that's one of the things that I find kind of funny about this is that the vestiges needs to be slightly expounded upon, and it might even be to a degree that this is something that All For One doesn't seem to truly know, but being in Shigaraki's body doesn't actually make him alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a soul transfer, because All For One's vestige is actually built out of the quirk, whereas the only person who's ever actually imbued a piece of their consciousness into a quirk is Yagi. Because he was
the
quirkless
man,
himself.
the myth, the legend,
the man whose name literally translates to goat.
Yo, I got a question for y'all. So we've spoke about every other matchup so far, like at least briefly. How do y'all see this All For One conflict going? Like, how damaged do y'all think he's gonna get here? For real.
So,
like,
I think like he was scared of All Might. I think he's going to be just as scared of Deku. Like, he's underestimating him right now. I think Deku's going to come at him and just he's going to.
I mean, like right now. Like,
I'm not scared for All For One
I was
right
confused
now.
about Deku now.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the heroes have a way better chance than I think on the surface a lot of us would assume, specifically because of Endeavor.
Thank you.
Because we got to really think back. Okay, so at Camino, all Endeavor really did was throw a couple fireballs. Spray, whatever.
That was the weakest. That was one of the weakest Endeavors too, like in the series.
And like this Endeavor didn't even have like good hops. Now I need you to think about like,
he was running around. He was jogging for real.
Like Pro Hero Arc Endeavor could like kind of hover and was doing some flash fire fist techniques, but he wasn't really that impressive. Like, he was impressive, but he wasn't the Endeavor we think of today. Because then when you get to Endeavor Agency and he's breaking the sound barrier in his sneakers using like the fire steps, you're like, okay. So Endeavor has gone up a lot from where he was. And even if you remember, also in Pro Hero Arc, he couldn't properly fly. He can just maintain enough thrust to hover. Endeavor was shown during the fight against Cassie to just be straight up flying alongside the car the entire time. No issues, just going casually. So he's built up such a stronger durability against his quirk, but then also gotten so much more skilled, especially when you think about like him doing Prominence Burns while also doing Hell Spider at the same time during the War Arc and Shiggy. Which was what Shiggy had to dodge mid-air.
I was gonna ask you, what if he hit All For One with a Vanishing Fist? That's gonna do more damage than Hawk's Feather?
Exactly.
More than Hawk's Feather. I mean,
if you remember, you could see the little metal nub on Shigaraki's hand taking damage from the intensity of the flash fire flames. So if Endeavor's actually landed some of these blows and the fire is hitting that helmet, it's gonna start actually causing damage.
I mean, I have no doubt that the Endeavor can go through the armor. No problem. I have no doubt about that. I mean, he can effortlessly, even in Pro Hero back then, see it through whole buildings, which includes, I would assume, some metal beams. So I have no doubt that he can get through this armor, unlike Hawks, who has never been the strong type. About this fight is, I think if you remember back like 4 chapters ago, I think there was this very sad look on Endeavor's face, and I joked like, this is him not being impressed with the plan. And I think that's his look when he realizes he has to fight AFO more or less on his own. Because this chapter with Hawks quite makes it clear that he is more or less helpless with All For One, at least until All For One takes off the armor. Up until that point, he can maybe push Endeavor on the way he did in Pro Hero, but he can't do much damage. And he can't push that well anymore either because he doesn't have that many feathers anymore.
Yeah, he's only got feathers to support himself.
Yeah, that's not going to work. He can barely fly himself, let alone push Endeavor, who would simultaneously burn his flames. The other thing, I think in the same team we have Kamui, who would be, I guess, the next strongest in this group. And I think Kamui has a very useful quirk when it comes down to when it's about taking out many mid-tier characters. Like he has this, the way he did in Kamui World when he just trapped all of the League characters before Gran Torino knocked Darby
he's a
out.
grab type.
That's kind of what he's good at. He can just catch them all. So I think Kamui would be great taking care of these fighters. I don't think the Pussycat Dolls are going to do anything. The Pussycats.
Why not?
I don't think the Pussycats are going to do anything against Alpha One. They're going to do, of course, stuff against all the.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say.
So I do think that Endeavor is kind of going into this fight thinking that he will have to fight Alpha One more or less on his own, which is also why I think that this relax, I didn't have my hopes up anyway, is kind of, I mean, he sounds both kind of calm, but also kind of like resigned to, he knows he's going to have to do this alone. And so I do think that Endeavor, he went into this knowing it's difficult, but also convincing himself at least that he can do it. Whether he can or not, we will see. But I do actually think that he's going to put up a good fight. He's probably going to get closer to All Might than he ever thought he would be.
I was just gonna say that's actually gonna be a really good moment, which is why I might not be as disappointed as I initially was that he's not fighting Darby, because the All Might thing with him has always kind of been not unresolved, but there was never any closure for it really. Like
the greatest frustration for him was, I mean, of course, I guess now in hindsight, it's more frustrating that he knows what he did to his family. But back then, his greatest frustration was becoming the number one, knowing he will never catch up to All Might and knowing that he didn't deserve it. But now he gets to fight the character who basically took All Might out. Like, of course, All Might won in the end, but that was All Might's last fight.
I think to a certain degree, though, this is the final part or follow-up to what he said during his attack on Shigaraki when he used Vanishing Fist of, so what if my strength alone isn't enough?
Yeah.
Because now, to a certain degree, his strength is probably the deciding factor in how this battle goes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And with there being other villains in the area too, they don't actually know exactly how high tier some of these other guys are going to be.
Yeah.
And
I do think, yeah.
Hold on,
I think for me, the interesting thing about this fight is that really there is, aside from All For One mentioning Endeavor once or twice, there's really no connection between these two characters. Instead, it feels like there is a lot of reason for this fight to happen. Like, of course, as much as Deku is the main character of the show, Endeavor is, and All Might is kind of leading the things on the whole police cooperation side. At this point, Endeavor is at this point the leaders within the heroes. So he's a number one hero, and All For One is, even if Shigaraki is getting stronger and stronger, still kind of on paper the leader of the League, and or at least of the villains group here. Endeavor kind of gets to redeem himself in terms of not being able to catch up to Endeavor, to All Might, and he gets to show that he can hold up the number one position, because this is where it counts. So I really think it's so interesting, because this fight, they don't have much in common, they don't have much of a personal connection, but so much hinges on this fight in terms of not just the overall narrative, but in terms of their characters too, that it's really interesting that you have two characters who basically don't know each other, who are still so connected.
Well, and that's kind of what's funny about, that was what was funny about Deku and Shigaraki, which is that the fandom and like as readers, we're like, yeah, all these parallels narratively tying Shigaraki and Deku together. And then it's like, they've seen each other twice.
Yeah.
But up until like before the war, they'd actually interacted twice.
Yeah. But here it's like not even the fandom saying that they are connected.
Right. But in like with All For One and Endeavor, though, it's like, we see this matchup and I don't think anybody balks at it. I haven't seen anybody being like, I can't fathom why All For One and Endeavor are fighting. It's like, well, he's the number one.
It makes sense.
Like,
that makes sense.
It's just like, yeah, no, this is what the deck is. Cool. Like, this is how the cards roll out. You gotta show up now. And there's gonna have to be some one-on-one segments of this, because I can't imagine like with at least one near high end and probably two of them here, there's gonna have to be some serious focus from the heroes shifting priorities towards taking on these other villains and stuff, leaving the air battle to maybe Hawk's Endeavor in a 2v1, like a Batman and Robin situation against All For One.
I'm excited, man. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
Like, because you got, it looks very much like people are creating space for Shoto and Dabi to fight. When you look at like, and obviously part of it is just like the angle too, but it looks like, because like, but you have like Keto looking in their direction while seeming to be moving away, and that near high end like hidden behind like Shoto's leg, and Ida facing it and burning over there. It's like they're probably about to have this quick little almost 1v1 that everybody has to avoid getting caught within, especially when you think back to joint training and like how the camera was getting destroyed and like Pony was like, damn, this hot as hell over here. And then you look and she looks like she's like 3 city blocks away from where the source of the fire is. It's like, man.
Yo, look, a nigga like Dabi, he might burn Ida to be funny. Like, oh, that's your friend, right? Let's see what happened when I burn him. He's crazy. Right. He attacks other people to
Do Endeavor sidekicks have fire resistance? Because like, did they just put them in the team because they can, if necessary, fight close to Dabi without melting?
Keto can reflect it, I think, or like he can warp it. But it has to be concentrated, I think. He can't just do that to a big open area.
Oh. That's what you, okay, because somebody asked about Dabi's having a traumatic reaction to the look of Shoto's costume. And at first
I heard about that.
Because at first I kind of just took that as him being like, oh shit, they really running up on us. But when you see, like, it's like what he sees, if he's seeing but we're seeing what he's seeing, and we see those lines come over. Those are usually lines that also deal with emotional stress. So yeah.
What are we talking?
Page 2.
So last chapter?
Page 2.
Oh, page 2. Sorry.
When it's the panel of Dabi before the 3 seconds is all we needed.
It does look like Twice a little bit. Like
I thought that's just shadows.
Oh, my best character in the story.
Oh yeah. It's more like the guilt, because like you can see those dark lines from over Dabi's face as
if that's Twice, if that's what Horikoshi was going for, this is like that's some good
development. Aren't the lines just shadows? Well, usually the crumbling cages.
And that's why I think it's like a coin toss, because like you can see those like lines and striations, and those are sometimes used to show like when a character is stressed or like thinking something dark or worried, but it could also just be shadow. You don't know which one he's going for here yet. And since I don't see any automatopoeias, that's why I first wrote it off as just kind of like him seeing people charging him. But the fact that people feel like it looks similar enough, I felt like it was worth bringing up then. Let's see.
Yeah, best character. Jimbo Gawara.
Jimbo Bagawara. Let's see. Let's see. I hope Tetsu is with Shoto's group because his fire resistance would be really helpful against Dabi.
Oh, yeah.
Man, if we get Tetsu running up on Tetsu would have had to have been doing a lot to have that resistance matter.
No, I do think it makes sense to put him in this team because the same reason why I asked for Endeavor side. I think it makes sense to put characters with some resistance, fire resistance, into this fight just so they can fight in the vicinity. Because these characters have to be able to, if necessary, deal with some of these AoEs spreading to them.
Yeah. Even
if they are not involved in the fight themselves, because this is going to be a big AoE fight.
Yeah, like this is just not a scenario where if you can't deal with fire or of some level, you should just not.
We're not going to put
panel
light weak Tokoyami into this group.
Half hot, half cold. He's finally trying to use both at the same time. That's how he's gonna start off.
But he's doing it.
His vest is doing the thing that it's supposed to do for the first time in the manga. I think, but one of the few times.
Yeah, I think you see it do it in the anime sometimes, but not a whole lot in the manga. But I guess he was saving it for the drip shot. Because it's like you got the fire under Dobby's chin, the like frost breath coming from him, but then you also can see that his foot was on fire. You have steam coming out his back. You just have all these temperatures and all kinds of stuff just boom, visible.
Yeah, I don't know what type of shit Dobby's gonna be on. I'm just looking at his face. Like I don't know what type of vibes he's gonna come with. Like he looks so unimpressed.
He looks so annoyed. He's just doing here, little brother.
My thing is that I feel like they should have sacrificed Shiketsu and done the same thing for Shiketsu that they did with UA and put Dobby there. Because you're still in the middle of a city. They're fighting at Camino and there's a decent bit of open space from where All Might's tornado, but you still have buildings potentially blowing up or catching on fire and all this other stuff around you as an issue. So,
which is kind of weird because I mean, you guess you could use not just Shiketsu, but like any mountainside or forest. It's not like there's a shortage of just countryside and like they put and All for One. I think that is that where Forest Training Arc was? All for One.
let's see.
Or is that just what is Skuja Village?
I'm not sure. Well, I'm pretty sure that's where that's directly at where the old Metal Liberation Army base is. But at the same time, you still have the same concerns of Endeavor. And it looks like they're specifically fighting in the gulch that was created by Grant Mamakia. So
I was thinking that too. They're fighting in places that have a lot of open areas.
So it seems like this
is wood is the best for Endeavor to fight in.
Like Gunga Villa is one of them. So it's basically like they're fighting wherever they already lost ground. And then the two exceptions being the new location of Orca's base. Also, I'm not gonna lie to you. This makes me really sad that all we keep getting is mediocre arena fighters for MHA fighting games.
I've been so
no comment.
Like no floating UAs, no
because
Camino.
Yes, if I was getting to play like personally, my favorite fighting style for fighting games is 2D fighters, so I'd rather play a 2D fighter, but you give me that with the UA in the sky or Orchid, like these are locations that would be amazing, especially if you
there's that rumor which was sort of proven untrue, but I don't know, that Arc System Works was working on an MHA game. So are they and there have also been rumors of a popular manga IP also getting getting a fighting game from a very popular studio. So I don't know. I just want there's a lot of potential for MHA. There's also different locations that I don't think have been shown yet. Deka, Camino Ward post rebuilding. There's obviously all of Jakku, Gunga Villa, maybe even I was going to suggest the city where Nagant and Deku are fighting, but I don't know. That would just be.
Yeah, that one's not damaged enough. They did a pretty good job not wrecking the city.
Yeah. So.
Because.
They're doing a battle royale game too. That's free to play, but doesn't look very good. Sorry. Like just imagine people have also talked about an RPG. You create your own character and go through yada yada. Like, there's so much potential, but
it's weird because it's like MHA started the wave of like effectively this generation of like Shonen Jump manga really getting them popping and getting some of that love. But it's like because it was the first, it gets the least amount of like love. Not counting Black Clover, but Black Clover kind of just doesn't do as much for Jump as a company as My Hero.
We could have some great games if they really wanted to make it. Like it could be crazy games from My Hero.
Like even if you gave me like an action adventure style game, where it's like 3D and even like, because I'm gonna be honest, I miss when there was like a good option. Like I like solo player games. A lot of times
I love single player games too.
Yeah, like being able to just run through a story. So like if you gave me the option to play some of these characters and just like play through the story, I'd do it. And if I was in like a 3D environment running through having to do that kind of stuff, dope. It just, I'm just thinking of like, man, this is like so much potential that just isn't going to be utilized. Because you could have Monoma fight like Shang Tsung for Mortal Kombat. NBA GTA. Oh my goodness. For some reason, I just wanted to burn it. Yep. All right. Oh. And it's a gacha game. Jeez.
Which one? The
one of the MHA games. Somebody in the chat was explaining. All right. So let's start wrapping up. Want to get people's final thoughts. So let's do final thoughts, starting with Tarnish.
Listen, this chapter was amazing. I got so much anxiety for every location. I think the place that scares me the most is definitely Dabi and Shoto. Because Shoto don't know what he's in for right now. And it's kind of crazy. But the art, for real, like the art these next few weeks are going to be so good. Like these double spreads going to go ham. I can't wait to see it. Hope Hori's in good health. And yeah.
All right. Let's go with final thoughts. Watkins.
Good chapter as always. I like seeing the matchups we're getting. I think the battlefield that scares me the most is actually the Shigaraki one, just because they're up in the air and anything can happen with that arena up there. So that makes me a little nervous, but overall, I think next chapter, we'll probably get the Toga Deku Uraraka stuff, and that'll be that. Deku's gonna have to try to get back to his battlefield, and I don't know. I see some similarities with like some other war arcs I've seen. So like honestly, the one that comes to mind is the one from Naruto, where he was like going to each like different battlefield before he got to where he needed to be.
It was just so convenient.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if like Deku goes to like another one on his way. And then he'll stop because I mean he's Deku. He's not gonna let people be in danger. Yeah, great chapter. I'm looking forward to this next few months of what's gonna happen, because God, it's gonna be intense. You guys thought that raid, that PLF war was something. We're in for a good treat right now.
Yeah.
Says.
I love this chapter. I mean, for one, finally something comes true that I'm saying is going to happen. So that felt good. Other than that, I really like the matchups. I think they all make perfect sense. I'm really looking forward to it happening with Toga and Deku. I kind of think that as soon as the coordinators of this whole hero side, which means Tsukauchi, All Might, Eraserhead, and Monoma now, find out about that Deku is missing in UA, they will probably send Monoma to find him. So I do think that there is for him a way to get back to Shigaraki. in a timely manner, and that doesn't involve him running across whole of Japan on his own feet. I don't really want him to, which also means I don't really want him to face all these other battles. I think Endeavor all for one and Darby Shoto makes enough sense on its own without Deku busting in and doing his things. So he fits with Toga and he fits with Shigaraki. He doesn't fit at all with Darby. And all for one, I could see that, but I don't really want him to interfere there. Partly because I'm very happy with how Horikoshi sometimes gives the side characters good stuff to do. So I really like these matchups. I'm looking forward to what Toga is doing, if she's planning something or if this is just her being obsessed with Deku. I think we're going to continue with this fight, because if not, if we're going to do the other two fights first, that would mean that we would in the end just have 100 chapters of Deku being the hero and nobody else doing anything. I at the moment really worried about Best Jeanist. I'm hoping for something great from Bakugo, but I'm not sure if this will help Best Jeanist. In fact, I think as it stands, Best Jeanist for me is, after this chapter, the character most likely to die, not Darby. I think that we've been talking about this whole death kimono thing, but to me it's like Darby has put this kimono on himself because he went out to what I assume would have been a murder-suicide. But that would only happen if his plan comes true. I don't think Shoto came out to kill Darby. So if Shoto manages to do what he wants to do, which is forcing his brother to eat soba, which he said the day before, I think it was the day before, maybe a few days before. So he said he's going to eat soba with his brother, and nobody in the room there disagreed. So it seems that even from the point of view of the other characters, killing Darby isn't necessarily the goal. So if the heroes get their way with Darby, he's not going to die, even if Darby wants to die and wants to die with his father. Darby, in this sense, has already been thwarted because he's not going to kill Endeavor, at least not within the next 10 chapters, because Endeavor is nowhere close to him. So he's probably frustrated, and I'm not sure if him having a death kimono is enough of a sign for me to say that he will die. I actually think he either will get away or he will get captured. I think those are probably more likely for Darby. But I'm looking forward to this fight, even though it's probably just going to be huge blasts across the city. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to see much there. Of course, I'm mostly looking forward to Endeavor versus All for One. I mean, that's a no-brainer. This is something I want to see. Very excited for it. Yeah, great chapter.
All right. Volk?
Yeah, I've really liked how the second war is kicking off. There's so already Horikoshi is pulling out all of the unpredictable stops, and if you go back and look, it's all been set up and it all checks out. It feels right. The fact that we're getting to Toga first and foremost means that, well, I don't know what it means. It means something, but it's gonna be cool. Endeavor versus All for One. I definitely want to see if Endeavor's gonna die soon, I want him to just because he's been sort of on the sidelines ever since the war. I want him to just go out in a full blaze of glory, just giving the villains his all. Right now, the most intense situation I think is Shigaraki at UA, because it's Bakugo and Genus they all know they can't take him without Deku. So it's going to be a lot of running around. But what helps them is that, we figured it out this chapter, the material that the UA barrier is made of cannot be decayed. They talk about reinforcing it, but I don't know. Really love the chapter. Really love what it sets up. I'm looking forward to Deku no Choco actually teaming up against a villain directly. They've done a lot of training, but this is what it's all for. And yeah, can't wait for next chapter.
Fish.
Yo. So this chapter was amazing. And my number one thing, honestly, in the back of my mind, I'm still wondering who's clones and who's not. But these matchups, I just can't stop thinking about Deku getting pulled away by Toga and just seeing how that's gonna play out. when her asking her question and then sticking the Nomu on all of them. I don't know. I'm just waiting for it. And then Bakugo. Who's Bakugo with? Bakugo, he stayed behind with who's in his group?
He's with Genus and Shigaraki. We don't know who else is in that area though.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he might be fine. I'm ready to see Bakugo get his shine, and I'm ready to see Endeavor versus AFO. I'm really looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, Fish, we do actually know who's there with him. You see, like in a very quick panel, heading towards the portal, Mirko, Edshot, Nejire, and those are all we know for now.
Also, Fish, somebody mentioned it in the chat. So how would you feel about a Soulsborne game for MHA?
I'll definitely watch you play. I don't
know. So for those of you who are not aware, this man is one of the most entertaining people on Twitch, and he's playing Elden Ring.
We'll be back on it later today as well after this stream. But yeah, I'm getting smacked in Elden Ring. And honestly, I really do owe you a big thanks, Aniki. I learned a lot yesterday from you because I had no idea what I was doing.
Man, look, I'm just proud of you for beating Margit finally. Because Margit was whooping your ass, bro.
Bruh, for over an hour.
But like you made it through. You started to work on your mage playstyle. Now you just gotta get better at reading the spacing and stuff. You'll be okay. Just gotta get better at identifying them patterns. But yeah, if you want to see somebody who gets so excited about beating bosses they rip shirts in half, make sure you watch Fish's Twitch streams.
I appreciate that, brother Aniki.
So yeah. Volker, you still doing content? Or are you taking a break as a film school?
I've been taking a pseudo break. I'm working on an all for one video right now. Like just trying to outline like what exactly his plan concerning Deku is and what his character sort of means for the story. I hope to get that out by the end of the week. So yeah.
All right. And then Walk-ins, you guys already know, be dropping gems.
Yeah.
Sayas has a channel, but I don't think she's uploaded one of those drawing videos in a while. So
tragic.
Oh.
Need a new one.
Yes, Sayas. What's the next one? So anyway, though, take us home, East.
Oh, me? Oh, all right. Man, Grubhub was good. All right, we'll see y'all next week. All right, let me stop fucking around so we can all get the hell out of here and go home. It's Sunday, man. I enjoy my weekend because I was working on it. But chase a bag, nigga. Check it. Fuck it. All right, to wrap this up and the finale, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Fucking gotcha. Oh, my God, nigga. I was busting left, right, back, front, forward. I didn't think I could shit and orgasm at the same time. But, hey, guess what? I read this chapter, and I did just that, my nigga. Man, each and every time I look at this nigga put the pen to the paper, I somehow try to fathom that shit and it just breaks my mind that this nigga can really do what he do on a weekly basis, bro. That is my fucking goal. These matchups are literally insanity, bro. Some of the shit I seen coming, some of the shit I didn't. Hey, man, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck who clone, who not, who popping who. I'm just here for the fucking hands because goddamn, I've been waiting for this shit for so long, bro. I really been waiting. And I really been waiting for these advisors to go stupid. I know at least 4 out of 12 of these niggas got me. That's all I care about, holding me down in these streets. You feel me? So listen, man. All I got to say now, Spinner coming with a goddamn nuke on the city for his character arc and for the villains. Y'all niggas don't sleep on these advisors, and the conflict's gonna come through. And shout out to my boy Coyote on his no moves. I appreciate y'all for coming this week again. We'll see y'all next week for the Church of MHA. Thank you for all your love and support again. And you know how I roll out of here. Enough of that mildness. It's time to turn it up to the max. Once again, this is the end. All in all I do is win because it's undefeated on the East, baby. What it do? Woo! And I love you guys. Hail Hori and peace out.
All right, y'all. Appreciate every single one of you that came through. All the regulars, you know, I sometimes go through your name, sometimes don't. Today's going to be one of those days where I don't, but I see you and appreciate you. Special appreciation of Volk and Fish for coming through, being special guests. Walk-ins, Tarnish, and Sayers, as well as East showing up like always. You are appreciated, loved, and valued. Make sure y'all have a wonderful week. everybody, I'll be doing a review, get that out by the end of the night. Make sure you tune into that as well, because you always try to leave something special in there for those of you who make it a point to watch both. Have a good night. See y'all next week. That's the